cold and blustery conditions for this round 13 clash at the Bay between Central District in second place and Glenelg, who are in 6th and just knocking on the door of the 5. Forward they go for the first exit from centre square. Jim West has got a good one. He's lined up at centre half forward to Heel, who's lined up on Stevens. Back to West and into the full forward line. Working back with the flow of play was McGowan. He did it pretty well. Not this time for Potter. Chigwitten did it okay. Got it around the body to Dryden. He get it in towards, I thought it was Ross Gibbs for a moment in number 2, but of course it was John Simons. DB Mackay joins us in commentary, and Simons has a kick. Around the body he goes, but he's going to be brought back, David, to have a kick.
Yes, the umpire had already called time on. What a game this is for Glenelg. Really, their season rests in this match, frankly. They've lost their last 4. Now, Centrals are a pretty fair outfit, but Glenelg on their own home ground would back themselves in today, but a loss here, I think, would put into perhaps a final 3 spot. They might make the finals, but it's always difficult if you're not in the top 3.
Yes, they certainly need an urgent performance now. Simons, this is a tough kick. The breeze is coming from the south. He set it up quite nicely, drifts across the face of goals. And in the end, it's gone over the boundary line and out of bounds on the full. Anthony Ingerson to bring it back in.
Ingerson, the Crow and Bulldog all in one. A very difficult juggling act for him. Scotty Stevens, the balding Scotty Stevens. Simon Hill, 97 games today, so not far off 100 for him. Playing on Scott Stevens, who's played 100. He's played 107, in fact. So plenty of experience on the wings for both sides today as Ingerson thumps the ball down. Reimers are there. Gee, went half-hearted at that one, Reimers. Quick kick away, he goes towards the full forward zone. It came from Simons as a mark. It's been paid, and this is Dryden. So the big man from Wodonga Raiders, who played his first game, senior game for the Bays last week, marks 10 metres out directly in front. He got one at Whyalla last week against the Eagles, and now he follows that up and gets his first for the afternoon today. The Tigers off to a good start.
Certainly was a good start for them. They need a few quick goals early in this game to give them the confidence to go on with it. They've been belted over the last 2 weeks, and a confidence boost is what's required, particularly when you're playing the second-ranked side, and a side that is so very powerful. Quick tackling, and on the small confines, or the tight confines of this Bay Oval, adjacent Brighton Road, the Bays are going to have to be on their mettle. Quick reflex movement from the packs, and quick scoring.
At the bounce, McCulley from the right, Ingerson from the left. McCulley, of course, back from that broken hand. Ingerson wins this one. It comes down. Green couldn't gather it in. Over the top of it, Heel. He's just nosedived by McGowan into the mud. And umpire Troy Burton indicates he'll have a bounce. Well, Simon, welcome to the muddle. The mud in the middle. Hallahan got it out wide. It's an infringement on Heel, so they're giving him plenty of attention early. Quickly played on to McGuinness, a long ball to half forward. Hallahan sat underneath it and really didn't look where the ball was going. Scotty Lee back from the Crows, playing in the back pocket. You'd have to be unlucky if you were Justin Casserly. He finds himself in the reserves. This is Green. Oh, great work, West. A good commitment to the man with the ball. Green gets it out. They're running now from defence. That was put forward by Pyman. Now the loose ball falls to Healy on the left foot. He chips it in short. Who's there? Big Simon Lewis. Well done, Chigwitten. And Rubenik got back. And Rubenik picks up a free kick for being hit too high.
In the back pocket, things are looking a little grey out over the hills at the moment. Expect a few showers throughout the afternoon as the ball is spoiled away towards the line on the far side. Matthew Liptak sits in the middle of the picture. You just see the background there. And it is gloomy. I guess what's more important is what's behind us. We can't tell, so it's going to be a bit of a lucky dip throughout the afternoon. Spoiled down into the path of Liptak, who is another Crow. We've mentioned Ingerson. Should also mention that Rouvre's not playing this afternoon. Dropped out of the side, and so too to Brian Herrera for the Dogs. Into the full forward line for the Bulldogs this time. Coffey, too deep, can't take it. Stephen Schwerdt gets in there late. Intelligently pushes it wide towards some space. Now they've lost some ground, but they've given themselves a chance with Stevens, who puts the foot on the accelerator. Dodging and weaving, good pressure put on him by Rowerick. Back to Cook, who copped one. In the meantime, he's got up towards the full forward line. From deep behind went Coffey, and off hands went Schwerdt. And Stephen Schwerdt gets his first, and the Bulldogs are away.
Well, he's a wonderful player, Stephen Schwerdt, isn't he? I thought perhaps Cook had made an error of judgment, not handballing it off to the running player in Scotty Stevens as he came through. But Coffey made a good contest of it at the square, brought the ball to ground. And there was Schwert, just roving the packs beautifully and into the open goal. He's a wonderful running player.
So the Dogs bounce back. Anthony Ingerson, a little mud splattered at the moment. McCulley's back into the Tiger outfit this afternoon, and that man on screen who just zipped off to the left is Roger Girdham. He's back in there putting a fierce tackle on. He's playing 200th, or his 200th game today, as McGowan takes it in the middle, and we'll have another bounce down. Good milestone, David.
Oh, he's been a wonderful player, skipper of the club. He's been their on-field leader, really, for a number of years. He's been terrific. Forward it goes. Scott Lee from behind crashed the pack. Hyman did well. Good desperation. Jumping over the top of it was Justin Scripps. Now, Scripps is number 13, as Chig Whitten just lets the Bulldog players know it's not going to be a cakewalk this afternoon. They mean business, the Tigers, and don't they need it? Jim West, high over the top, gathers it in. Claim to ground. Well done, Pyman, yet again. At the back door, this is Jimmy Wine. Now, have a look at the bike short. So that groin's still troubling him. He missed last week's match. Kretschmer dropped it, goes back after it again. Over the top, he's taken to ground. It spills free. This is Bartlett on the left boot. Goes short. Oh, wonderful running play. Hallahan, and accelerates away. Beautifully done, Hallahan. Now, it wasn't meant for him, but he was just able to turn the head and take the mark, and then he just kept going. And in the finish, Shane Dryden at full forward marked. And, of course, right in front of Ray Windsor, a late inclusion in this side.
He's a big man, Dryden, and he's got a big hook. Straight through for his second, and the Tigers get their second on the board. 2 straight. They lead Central District on 1 straight goal.
He's a powerful man, Dryden, isn't he? Big forward from Wodonga Raiders. He kicked 100 in that competition last year. A drop transfer brings him to South Australia, and Glenn Elliott scoops him out from under the nose of Harry Kernahan and Ken Sheldon. He could well have been a Panther.
Can't be a Panther when you're built like that. A bit more like a lion or something like that. He's a big man. Well spoiled down by McCulley to Wine. Not quite got the acceleration, has he? This is Reimers. Beautifully picked off was Jim West by the shepherding work of Roger Girdham. That handball was a little astray. McGowan's good enough. Deft little touch out. Back to Wind, and then it finally finishes up with Schwert from McGowan. He goes to the far side of the ground, looking for Coffey, who's made some ground. Not going to control it, though. Hocking's the man with a job on Coffey today, who has 47 goals for the season. And with the gloves on, looms as the difference between Central District and Glenelg this afternoon.
It's been a wonderful year for Coffey. He only got 7 goals last year. He already has 47 this year. This is McGowan going out to 200 men. Girdham over to Lures. In turn it comes to Schwert. He can shoot for goal. Lines up on the left. It's coming around, but not quite far enough. 1 point on the board, so 1 goal won. The Bulldogs trailing Glenelg 2 straight goals. The margin as we go 8 minutes into the first term, 5 points.
Last time we ventured to the Bay, we saw Hocking play at full forward. And if I may say, I think he's probably better equipped to play at full back. He goes with the left leg. The right's heavily strapped. That carries a fair weight. Gives you some indication that the breeze is coming from right to left. Stevens, forward he goes. Girdham's done some bullocking work earlier. It's been terrific. This is Kretschmer from the back pocket towards centre wing, where he's got War. Not enough pressure from Healy, who's got a battle on his hands today. Glenelg have got some run and some overlap. Chigwin. Not sure who Chiggy was looking for there, but he followed up himself pretty well. Kicks it from the ground, and he's got Hallahan at half forward. Hallahan plays on. Short he goes to Ango. Now Simon can have a look at it from 50. He thumps it forward and gives it every good chance. It's carried, but not quite. Right to the line. So the first indiscretion in terms of points. Glenelg 2-1. Central are 6 points behind on 1-1.
Glenelg making their intention quite clear. They really are running hard from defence. And they're blasting the ball in quickly into their forward line. Now Dryden at full forward will like that. And apparently last week, at Wales, they were very slow out of defence. They've taken a different approach today, and it's paying dividends so far. At the back of the pack, heel upended by Stevens. Pushing the back, said the umpire.
Pretty lazy.
Well, both of them state wingmen. Now Simons. A high ball. Scripps is there. He'll need to go hard. Oh, War worked hard for it. Couldn't complete the mark. It stacks on the mill. Finally, the loose ball ricochets clear. Out it comes to McGowan, covered with mud from behind. Rubenik spoiled well. Beautifully done. Loose ball. Schwert. McGowan on the left. A high ball towards Coffey. Out comes Arnold. and the big man's got it 45 metres out, directly in front.
Could you explain to me what stacks on the mill mean?
When everyone just jumps in on top of each other. Now, really, it's impossible for an umpire to pick up a free kick when they do that, isn't it?
But what does it mean? I mean, where does the saying come from, stacks on the mill? What does it mean?
We'll research that for next week, Triggy.
Well, you just used it.
Well, it's a saying, sorry. Arnold, as we get hijacked in conversation, goes left of the goals. That's one behind. Well, he's a powerful man and they rely on him. And he really has come to the fore in the last season or so.
I mean, I can understand things like, you know, he leaps like a startled gazelle or something because it's a simile, but I don't know about stacks on the mill. You better do some research. Hocking to the far side, spoiled down to McCulley, who finally did the roving work. His kick was ill-directed and it's fallen into the arms of Anthony Ingerson. So from half forward, Ingo puts it in towards Wine. Now Jimmy's a chance. Slipped over as he kicked it. Some indication that it's a bit slippery out there. Arnold can't control it. Rorick, Schwert, you want to be careful down there. Ben, you go for holding the ball.
Well, it's an interesting one, isn't it? When you dive on top of the ball, you drag it in underneath you. It is your duty to get it out. And if you don't, it's a clear free kick. They're very rarely paid 25 metres out directly in front.
I think that's the key, isn't it? It's just a matter of where it is. As it comes down to McGuinness. Got it from McCulley, who's making an impact. And so too is Ingerson on the back play. Lee, the overlap. 50 metres, that ball's carried into the breeze. Phil McGuinness let it go behind, which is a bit naughty. It finally finishes up in the arms now of Schwert. He's got a deliberate shot from 40 metres out, pumps it up towards the goals, and he's got his second behind. 1-2 for Schwerty so far in this game, and we've played about 12 minutes into the first term.
Well, he's been prominent, hasn't he? You look at the players running downfield. Now, it's interesting, he seems to be playing out of a forward pocket, which would indicate that perhaps Rubenik is the man with the job. Stevens missed it. Well done, left tack. Playing also with the gloves. A beautiful kick towards centre half forward. West took front position. From behind, Rome has applied the sport. Look at Pyman. What a terrier he is. He just wraps him up. And Christopher Pyman, 70 games. He is a tough, tough competitor.
Meta Pyman going to the fair. McGowan, Healy and Reimers, who's not a bad replacement for Hereda at centre half back. Lewis, the take was okay. The overlap also from the rangy player in Healy. But Ian's kick is pretty average. It's fallen into the arms of McCulley. Now Stewie's handball wasn't much better. A little bit of rebounding, a little bit of luck. It's fallen into the arms of Kretschmer.
Now that mark was paid, you know, and it rebounded off the player. There's no way that was a mark.
Didn't look like it carried much more than 8 or 9 metres to me.
It bounced off the player's chest, and as it ricocheted back, the mark was paid.
Oh, maybe there's a rule change that we've missed out on here.
Not a chance.
Heel and Healy. Across the line it goes, dead set centre wing on the far side. 2-1 to 1-3. Glenelg have a 4-point margin. Ingerson gives away a fair bit of weight, doesn't he? So he just puts a hand on the shoulder, gets up over the top. McCulley's second effort was okay. Healy. Scripps has tackled, I think probably without the ball. The man who kicked 7 in the B grade last week. And reminds me very much of the man who left last year in Craig McRae.
The loping left foot kick. Oh, West was upended. Well, in fact, it wasn't West. It's Tony Hall. Gee, I forgot for a moment he was out there. Now, this is the first possession for Tony Hall. We've played just on 15 minutes of the first term. A long high ball. West sits underneath it. At the front was Scripps. It's stolen away by McGowan. At the back door, Scott Lee. Doing pretty well in this opening turn, by the way. Scott Stevens has Lewis free. Holds the ball a little long, and it made it hard for Lewis. 2 players got back, and underneath there, Tony Hall spoils. Did well. Tim Cook. Back he goes, looking for Green. Tony Hall crashed through, but it's a free kick to the umpire, and the ball will come back to Tim Cook.
Fair bit of quality out there, isn't there? Liptak, Hall, Lewis.
Well, right through both sides, let me say. There are some very, very good players on the field this afternoon, and you wonder why Glenelg are sitting in 6th position.
Cook, left leg, carries some distance, so the breeze not absolutely important at the moment. Lewis is there. Wine is there. And finally Glenelg get a kick forward as Jimmy did a bit of an Academy Award job. McGuinness. It's a little indiscriminate. I think if you're going to have a criticism of Phil McGuinness, he does throw the ball away like that a bit. Other than that, he carries it pretty well. Cook's going to be held and will get a free kick from 60 metres out.
Great professional free kick, Halhan. You couldn't doubt that one. If Cook had got clear, then clearly he would have been running into an open goal, and there was no support coming, so Hallahan did exactly the right thing.
Take something special from Coffey or Lewis down there. They're outnumbered, and they're jumping from 3 or 4 deep. So the Smalls have to do a bit of work. Heel, Schwert, will he get another one? He has. Great work off hands. He gets his second, so 2-2 to Schwerty, and Central District hit the front.
Well, Stephen Schwert discarded by the Crows, and I always felt that that was wrong. I mean, he really is one of the great taggers in modern football. He's supremely fit. Kretschmer's picking him up, so it appears that he has a roving commission in the forward line. Kretschmer has just let him get away far too often, and he has 2 goals too. He could easily have kicked 3 or 4 goals already.
And the rain starts to tumble down at the bay, with Central District 2-3, Glenelg 2-1. McGuinness is going to get cleaned up. Just saw it coming from Scott Lee, and finally the ball gets squeezed out towards centre wing. Healy's there. He's having a keen duel at the moment with Heel. So for mine, it looked as though Heel had started on the close side against Stevens, so it's a bit hard to know just where they are at the moment. They may have either switched or Heel's gone for a run across the other side.
I think you'll find there's been a switch.
So who's playing on this side for the Tigers?
Simon.
Simon's just playing at half back on Potter. We'll work that out as we go along, I'm sure. Boundary line throw-in, far side. Again, Ingerson, he's a valuable contributor, isn't he? Got that one down with 2 purposeful hands. Rorick's in front and takes it.
Rorick feeds it off to Hocking. The left footer, a long ball, well placed for Angove. Angove thumps it to ground and goes after it with Green. Green for the Bulldogs, first man there, lost his footing. Flicks it out. McCulley, great shepherd as Potter tried to crash through. This is Chigwidden going to the back door. Now Schwert, off he goes again. Schwerty has the ball. He's finding plenty of it. Green around the corner into space and under it. Angerson.
Well done, Green.
They've used it pretty well.
It's well done, other than the fact that I guess the only option you had was Ingerson, but as you can see there's the boundary line, there's the umbrellas. By the time Ingo gets back, he's going to be on the fence, so this is a pretty demanding kick at the 50-metre line. Particularly with the breeze over his right shoulder, the rain coming down. Did you back him?
No. I got to say, I often don't back him directly in front.
Well, he'll kick this one, you watch. Magnificent kick, Ingerson. What a wry smile on the face of David Mackay as Ingerson threads it from 50 on the boundary line. 3-3 the Dogs. Glenelg 2-1.
I'll declare this, I love the way he plays. He throws himself at the ball and he's hard and vigorous, and as a centre-half forward he makes a real nuisance of himself. But if there is something that's let him down at the highest level, it's been his kicking for goal. He finds plenty of the ball, and to kick that was just the stroke of genius.
So Heel is playing on the close side and he's picking up Stevens. Far side it's War and Healy for the Bulldogs. So Simon Heel is covering some ground. Angove, as the rain gets a little heavier, shouldn't have lost feet, Simon. You've let Healy in. He goes with a funny old torpedo. Punt up towards Ingerson, who couldn't quite hold it. Schwert, offhand. So too there is Lewis. It's a potent attack, isn't it? And Rorick finds the line sensibly.
I'll tell you, there's a fellow out there that when it's wet and it's tough and it's mean. It's Ben Rorick, 43 for Glenelg. He's as mean as they come. And I think as he gets a bit more experience, he's only played 28 senior games. As he gets to the 50 or 60 mark, he'll be a very tough defender. Loose ball falls. Kretschmer gathers it in, kicks a long ball underneath this one. Craig Potter playing his 50th game today, Craig, since coming from the Brisbane Bears. He had a stint with the Swans as well. This is Jimmy Wine, another experienced AFL player with Fitzroy, and that one is not a great kick, and I'm sure that groin is still giving him a lot of trouble.
Particularly when you've got time to think about it like that. He would have been very careful on the leg if he's carrying a groin injury, and probably just lost the focus in terms of the goal, the objective of the exercise. Well, Jared, there's a breeze out there. It's not particularly that strong, I guess, at the moment whilst it's across the ground.
No, I think you'll find a wet ball when he dropped it. It just slipped from his hand and it just slewed off the boot. And I think you'll find that really had nothing to do with the breeze, but more about the way he dropped the ball. Jimmy
Wine. This time it's picked off by Hocking. I bet he found a little bit extra in going for that ball, knowing he'd muffed it just a little earlier. McGuinness spoiled away. Well done, Chigwidden, right in the spot, and a great tackle by Girdham. He'll probably have half a dozen of those throughout the day minimum. Lounder. Healy's had some good possessions early. Handballs to Schwert, who's also had good possessions, and a great smother down there by McCulley or Kretschmer. He's gone out of bounds in front of a scoreboard that reads 3-3 to 2-1. The Tigers with an 8-point deficit.
Let me say this, I've not seen Glenelg for 4 or 5 weeks. The last time we saw them, they had a win. I think that was against North, wasn't it? 5 weeks ago, May 7th.
They had a very heavy loss on the Monday.
Yes.
North Adelaide booted 9 in the last term, and Atkinson kicked 3 of them.
Dead right. I think the last time we saw them have a win was against South at Noarlunga. I went down and watched that match, and they were quite reasonable that day. They haven't had a win since, but they're playing such indirect football. Have a look how they're playing. Now, they've got West at centre-half forward. They've got Bartlett at centre-half back. They've got Hocking at full-back. They've got Dryden at full forward, and they're playing wide. I would have thought their strengths are their big men. They should be going straight down the ground.
They've also got Strooper in the reserves.
Mansell.
Bow. Obviously not clicking at the moment. Kretschmer. They switch it to the close side of the ground. Now here's a one-on-one contest. You better make that 2-on-2. Stevens is there.
Excuse me, Stephen. Have a look where they're going. But surely the runner's got to get out there. The coach or somebody's got to understand this about Glenelg. Have a look at it. It's quite absurd.
A trip and a 50-metre penalty. So one of the first of those that I've seen throughout the year. An automatic 50.
Used to be a reportable offence, remember? Not anymore.
Heel. Kretschmer.
Look.
They are going in all sorts of different directions. I reckon that's partly a function, David, of the fact that they're lacking confidence. Rubenik finally ends up with Simons, who blasts away and puts it through. So zigzagging around, but they've got it.
Okay, he kicked it, but look where he kicked it from. He's 2 metres inside the boundary line, and that is a great goal, and they'll all get pumped up. But let's talk about team structure for Glenelg. This is a side that walloped Port Adelaide in the opening round of the season by 90-plus points, and to see them playing short, wide football, it's quite obscene. Now, even then, he kicked that goal, but he kicked it 2 metres inside the boundary line, and generally on a wet day with a wet ball, that is no chance.
So the Tigers get within a couple of points. 3-3 to 3-1. The Bulldogs in front. Arnold. Potter. Girdham's in there. As always, burrowing over the ball. He's a first possession gatherer of the highest quality.
Well,
we've got a bounce down centre wing.
You've hit it on the head, haven't you? Now, we talked about the strengths and the weaknesses of Glenelg. What about Central? Their toughness, midfield particularly, is terrific. And
Chigwitten's all right at it, but they have too many like Heel and Kretschmer and a variety of others that will run past McGuinness instead of getting the football first up possession. They don't manufacture the play. Well done, Centrals, and Coffey's got it at 50. Now, if he's quick about this, Ingerson will have a one-out contest.
His first half last week was quite special, I'm told. But his last quarter in particular, he really did fade out. But I suppose the ball wasn't coming down to him.
So take a long one. He gets in close to the man on the mark, and as a result, the ball goes as high as it does long, right to the square. Sunshine trying to come out. Schwartz been quite spectacular in the first term. I thought he was going to get that as well. Kretschmer to Chigwidden. The skipper brings it to the grandstand side. There is Potter, and so too is Ward. Good mark.
Now he should be looking midfield, but see, they've taken too long. He wants to hold the ball up, show the crowd, and they don't play on quickly. Now, there were 2 or 3 blokes midfield, particularly Liptak. If he'd have played on when he got the ball, Liptak was 10 metres clear. Now they're all covered. Their forwards have got no chance, Glenelg. They've just got to get the ball on quicker. Waugh wanted to show everyone that he'd marked the ball, held it up, took another 5 seconds, and everyone was covered. And I reckon this is the area that Tony Simons has got to address in this Glenelg side. Look at the way the Bulldogs go about it. They're very workmanlike. They move it on quickly. And Alan Stewart has got team disciplines to a fine art with the Bulldogs. Bartlett gave it out to Simons, missed the target with the handball. That's always difficult on a wet day. Over the top of it, Healy thumps it out. Now it's Cook. He's working hard around the packs. He's finding plenty of the ball. A high one goes out wide to Schwert. Kretschmer this time, right on his hammer, and the ball goes out of play.
Well, while I'm quizzing you about stacks on the mill and things, what about with the wind blowing here at the Bay Oval? What about up his hammer? What's that? On his hammer. I don't know, there's some explaining to do. Funny old business, this commentary, as McGuinness gets it around the corner. Great mark by Healy. Good first term. Don't touch me there.
I'm just trying to explain where the hammer is.
Well, that's fine, except that people will talk. Healy to 50. Looked like a mark and should have been paid. I agree with that. The Glenelg fans won't like it.
He is reckless, isn't he, Ingleson? When he goes at the ball, he has no regard for his personal safety. He's just such a competitor.
I think reckless is a good term. I like it. He's a little untidy, but he's very effective. I always have the feeling, though, that if they can afford to have Arnold on the ball, that this man up forward is very valuable. Good-looking pass, not quite taken by Wind, who was held but not paid. And there's a free kick not forthcoming inside half forward. One of the rare occasions that Centrals have gone short and wide today. Umpire Greg Inge bounces. McCulley wins it. Welcome back to the Tigers for him, I can tell you. Heel gives it off to McGuinness, so upended was Ango. Great work coming through their gird, and he was solid. Cook wins the free kick. No, he gives it away. It's play on, and that's better, Liptak. See how he moved the ball on quickly. And they're going through the midfield, and Heel goes long. This is better for the forwards, but Scott Lee was just too good in the finish. Oh, look at the players spare. Well, look how they move it on quickly, though. Oh, big fly, Chigwin, well done. Spoiled it. I thought Stevens had a certain mark. Now McGowan needs to work hard. Look at Cook. He's working harder still. Now from defence, this is Pyman going short and lures the big man at centre-half forward. Too far out to score. Off goes Ingerson into space, and it's on behind play. Plenty of players. Ingerson claims the mark, but it is not paid. Now Jimmy Wine needs to work hard. Rorick claims him. That's a free. And 4 or 5 players behind play still sorting it out. Jimmy Wine deep in the pocket and have a shot for goal if he wants it. The other Jim W at the other end of the ground, Jim West, was the one who was doing most of the marshalling. Sorted themselves out now, and probably just the ticket for Glenelg, I'd suggest, at the moment. Jimmy Wine, game number 7, already has 5 goals this season. It's not coming back far enough. And it's a behind. Well, there's not much in it, is there? There's only 3 points in this match. We've played 2.5 minutes into time on, and Glenelg, you must say, after playing some pretty ordinary football in the first quarter, are right in touch. The breeze is across the ground. We just saw that sock fluttering away, and it doesn't really favour either side other than push that ball wide at the back. Like Healy, or was it Lewis? Inside half forward, another entry, so they're starting to plunder that full forward line, the Bulldogs, and Stephen Schwartz got a chance for number 3 from 40 metres out. What percentage of play do you think the Bulldogs have had in their forward line this term? After the first 5 minutes, probably about 80%, 70%. Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, 80's probably a bit much. 60 to 70%, so they've done pretty well. Plenty of entries in that full forward line. Stephen Schwartz. 40 metres out. It's a good looking kick. Head stayed down. He kicked through the footy, but the breeze just took it away. So 1 behind only. 3-5 plays 3-1. 2 goals, 3. Stephen Schwartz, 5 scoring chances in the first term, and I reckon he's probably had about another 6 or 7 possessions. So he's finding plenty of ball. Now this is better. Right down the middle with the breeze. Now, wouldn't you have thought that's the way they'd have played earlier? And Bartlett marks it. Plays on quickly. That's better. Hallahan receives it and goes long. The kick wasn't all that great, and it put Scripps under plenty of pressure. He plays on. Better work than now. Heel goes short and Dryden. Oh no, Simons tried to cut it off. Back it comes to Liptak. Liptak throws it wide. Scripps snaps. It's smothered out there by McGowan, who got back quickly from the centre. Tony Hall missed it. Potter crashes through. Oh, upended. No free kick. Now it's Liptak around the corner. He gets it. So Liptak on the left foot gathers his first 4 goals, 1 Glenelg. They've hit the front. And they now lead by 2 points, and we're 3.5 minutes into time on of the first term. It's pretty good around the goals, is Lippy. He knows where they are, but that's by far the most positive piece of play from Glenelg so far. They thumped the kick out down the middle, big mark, some run on, and had Heel's kick found the mark, and I reckon they might have gone a clean sweep down the other end of the ground. But they ended up with a goal anyway. It was pretty good work. Some ominous signs for Alan Stewart and the Bulldogs. They had this match comfortably in their control, but Glenelg have fought back with sheer courage. This is Cook to the outer flank. Lures first man to the ball in front of Bartlett. That's been a great contest. The 2 big men go at it. And Bartlett just unsettles a couple out there. He's very good at doing that. Lures won the free kick, goes long out on the lead. Coffey and Hocking. Hocking thumps the ball towards the line. Healy overrun it. Coffey picks it up, looks for support, doesn't get it. Pressure comes from Simons. Around the corner he goes, and Bartlett, the big man, marks. This is better. Gives it off, and they're running already. Plays on, but well read.
This is Gurdon, a superb player the first term. Scott Stevens over the top of it, gives away a free kick to Heel. And they are still playing on each other, Triggy. We just thought maybe there'd been a move earlier. Hallahan working hard across half-back. Oh, great grab, Scripps, not paid. Balls to ground. Arnold high over the top. Stevens into space. On the half volley, did it well. The left footer, a ranging kick. It goes forward, loses there. Oh, well done from behind. The big fellow came crashing through in Rorick. It's finished now with Green. Well, they worked pretty hard both sides. It was a good contest.
2 points the difference, and Green with a chance to put them 4 points up. They are working hard. They've got a winning half-forward line with that Heel-Stevens battle. I think Heel's probably winning that at the moment.
So Green goes for goal as the siren sounds at quarter time. He's put it through. That's his first. Central's 4 goals, 529. League Glenelg, 4 goals, 125. It's quarter time at the Bay, and it has been in the wet down here. A terrific first turn.
From school, the AFL, it's been 11-7 at Geelong.
from the Bay, the home ground of the Tigers, as they trail Centrals by 4 points at quarter time. But the first term was good, hard football. The Bulldogs had control of the footy most of the term, but the Tigers kicked some great goals to be in contention at quarter time. Hallahan, who was quite special in the first term, tries to go forward. West gets it successfully forward. Missed the target in Tony Hall. Pyman, who was solid, thumps it towards the line and just follows it up and makes sure that the ball ends up across the line. And what Johnny Simons was appealing for out of bounds on the full. The boundary umpire was having none of that. 4 goals, 1 Glenelg 25. They trail Centrals 4-5, 29. As Pyman crashes Scripps to the ground, players jump in on top of it. Nobody can get it clear, and it's a bounce. Now Stephen Schwert was quite sensational. 2 goals, 3 in the first term. Green got 1 right on the siren, and Ingerson got the other for the Bulldogs.
Yes, Stephen Schwert was the one who got them moving, of course. The sun is shining again as McGowan goes in and tries to get the football. Someone's got a free kick. I think it might be McGowan. Tony Hall's on the mark. He's been a bit disappointing.
Apparently he was last week, but I am told that he's fully fit, and those hamstrings which had been troubling him aren't a problem now.
McGowan, a ball that goes higher than it does long. Well taken by Lewis. Solid at centre half forward. Not sure what he's doing right the way back there. This is a good piece of movement from the Dogs as Stevens gets it and sweeps through the middle of the ground towards half forward. Coffey was perfect. Handballs it on. Finish it off, Tim. It's been pretty good work. His left leg is just on the right side and he gets his first. Well, that is the sign of a very, very accomplished side.
Yes, it is, and they get the ball on quickly. They support each other pretty well. Cook called for it, demanded the ball, and really demanded it so strongly that Grant Coffey had no choice but to give it off to him, and it was good unselfish play by Coffey. And you must say that 40 metres out on a very slight angle, Coffey would have fancied his chances. But the team comes first. He gave it off to Cook, who ran into the open goal.
$10 points the difference, 35 to 25. The Bulldogs in front, and Girdham a chance to get something going again. He doesn't miss the mark very often. Off the play, Jim West and the Rymers are having a fair blue. One's gloved, the other is not. They've separated now. Meantime, it's with Lewis at half forward to Cook, who just kicked that goal 30 seconds ago. Good percentage play to the head of the square, where Arnold and the much more delicate, if you like, Wind. Up forward it goes. The Tigers have got a free kick in the square.
Jimmy Wind disappointing then. Coffey was screaming out from full forward, 20 yards clear. All Wind had to do was chip it in on the left foot, and he would have hit Coffey 25 metres out, almost directly in front. And he opted to try a check side with a wet ball, so it's all come unstuck. This is McGuinness, a left footer, a long, wide ball, and I emphasise wide. When I talk about Glenelg today, they've rarely played directly up the centre. From the throw-in, Ingerson opposed to McCulley. It's been a good battle so far. Chigwidden missed it in the overflow. Jimmy Wind picks it up, drills it in long. Coffey was pushed off the ball beautifully by Hocking. Hocking is an improving full-back. Kretschmer pulled off the ball, no free kick. It recoils out to Coffey, who snaps the goal. It's going to go through. I think it has. Coffey gets his first for the day. What a great goal. I thought momentarily it could have been a free kick back in defence. But Coffey got the ball, and from about 40 metres out on a tight angle, just lobbed it right to the head of the square, and it went through.
Goal number 48 for the year, and we're just over the halfway mark of the season, so he's every good chance to kick 100 this year. I must admit, I thought as he was kicking it, he was being a bit of a two-bob Lair, because the percentage was against him getting it, even with the breeze.
Well, he backed himself,
it was a terrific kick.
So at the bounce, Glenelg need to fire up. They trail by 4 points only moments ago. There's 16 points down now. How fortunes can change. Chigwidden fights hard for the ball, midfield, with Jimmy Wind. That should be a terrific battle today. We'll have a look at it at the end of the match. A lot of people thought that Chigwidden should have been picked up by an AFL club. Well, perhaps they can see him against an AFL quality rover in Jimmy Wind today and see how he goes. Green crashed through, so too did Liptak. Liptak did very well in the finish, but threw it away under pressure from Girdham and Stevens. And Girdham, no, it will be Stevens to take the free kick. Let's see where he goes. There's no width in that kick. It's straight down the centre. Squares it up for the big forwards. Up they go, and Lewis has got it. No, it's Arnold. So the big men, the two of them were there, and it had to go to one of them.
Certainly a presence about them down there with Coffey and Arnold. Lures, if it goes off hands, you've got Stevens, Cook and Wine.
Schwert.
Well, they've really got some good stock. Forward they go. Pretty ordinary kick from Arnold. It's just dribbled off the hand there of McCulley and gone through for a behind. So they eke it out a little further. 40, what have we got? 41 or 42? 6-6 to 4-1 anyway. 42 to 25.
17 points the margin as Hocking with his prodigious kick goes to the outer side. There's a towering kick, a boomer. But Ingerson behind Cully just read it better. Marks and looks to get it on quickly. Does so. It's smothered by McCulley. Ingerson just took his time. Bartlett handballs it back to McCulley. Wider is heel. He looked to go inboard. Now this is better. Oh, well, it's worked. Ango from half back did that well. Now let's see if they can square it up and centre it up. Forward position Dryden from behind Windsor. Dumps it across and at the back Wakeland just towards the line. Did it so very well. Kept it in play. Gathered in 20 valuable metres and then pushes it out of play. So they're working hard from defence, the Bulldogs. And they are a very mean outfit.
Two goals and 5 behinds, the difference. West, Hallahan, quick kick forward to some space. Well done by Windsor, led in the race for the ball. I heard a call from the crowd, get in front. That'll be a home crowd call because it's not a bad one either. Sitting in behind this time, Liptak gets there first. Free running movement from McGuinness through the midfield isn't bad. He puts it to within 2 or 3 metres of goal and well taken down there by Hall, who will kick for goal from 3 or 4 metres out and get Glenelg's 5th.
This is a confidence booster, isn't it? Glenelg needs Tony Hall firing, and Tony Hall just needs to get a couple of these to get himself going again.
So Hall gets his first at around about the 7-minute mark of the second term, and Glenelg bounce back. They get to within 13 points the difference.
Well, he's a marvellous athlete, Tony Hall. Nobody works harder at his fitness than Tony Hall. He really is a terrific club man, but with those hamstring injuries, he's had a lot of work on the last 2 weeks on the back and the hamstrings, and let's hope for Glenelg's sake and Tony Hall's sake he can stay sound and fit.
I've seen the centre square worse at Glenelg, but it is a bit sticky in there. As Wine tries to get it from the air, Stevens. They're 3-on-1 out there. They should do okay here, but Liptak's tackle was superb. Spoke about Ingerson being reckless a little earlier. What about Gurdon? He just throws himself in regardless.
Kamikaze.
Here's a kamikaze, and for a sinewy little bloke, he does well to walk away from them.
He's got 200 games up. Could have been dead in any one of them.
Be cool with that haircut that Stevens has got, wouldn't it?
Today it would. McCulley dumps it down. Simons missed it. Ingerson back. Now I think Scotty Winder's beating Chigwidden in the battle of the stats at least. Now there he goes again. He recovers his own ball. It's a bit like American Gridiron where he just keeps running. This is Bartlett. Handballs to space. Out there Kretschmer. Then Chigwidden gives it off to Hallahan. He's been a vital player today. A long ball to Chigwidden. Under it Scotty Lee. And Simons comes in and support. Chigwidden shepherded beautifully. Reimers just gathers it in and dumps it across the line. They'll be throwing about 25 metres around from the Glenelg goals.
Just took it a little easily there, Scotty Lee. On screen there at the left, and picking up Chigwidden, who's having a spell in the forward pocket. Ingerson and West. And Reimers. Well done by McGuinness. They need more of that from him in there, getting a first possession or 2. Or 3 or 4 or 24 probably. So we've been a bit lucky. 1 shower for the day. West, Liptak, and now McGuinness. Another chance for the Tigers. In the fall forward. Over the top went Wakeland. Chigwidden well snared, and so too was Hall. The Bulldog tackling's pretty good back there. Windsor got one in the back. Not paid. Good pressure by the Bays. They've forced a neutral ball.
Yes, remember that this Glenelg side is the meanest defence in the competition. They've had fewer points kicked against them than any team in the competition this year. And their forward line, I think, sits about 5th in order of merit. So it really has been their defence that has held them up so far this year. Reimers dumps it down. Potter, who really hasn't done a lot, but he just leads that defence and holds it together. He is the cement or the mortar of the bricks. Air ball Ingerson bumps it to ground. Over the top of it, Potter tries to get it out. It's a throw, said the umpire. So Potter penalised, and Chigwedden will take the free kick 20 metres out directly in front.
Couldn't see it, but it's to Glenelg's great benefit because Chigwedden's a pretty good kick for goal, and from 35 metres out he won't have much trouble with this. He's got a cool head. Yeah, I think the throw was paid, but just a tough one to see from back here.
So Chigwedden goes for goal, an important one. They now trail by 15 points. They've brought it back from 20... they now trail by, 15 points. They were 21 points down just moments ago.
Better make that 5, eh?
Sorry, 5 points. You said commentators could do maths. 5 points down. They trailed by 11 points only moments ago, and they were struggling 16 points down only 10 minutes ago. So it's a good recovery by the Bays.
McCulley, Ingerson, Heel does pretty well. One kick forward. Scripps did it okay as well. The Tigers are on a bit of a roll at the moment. The momentum with them, and Central needing to turn it around. Lee, Healy, to half forward. They won't control that one before it goes over the line and out of bounds. Not a big crowd in, but fairly vocal. McCulley gets the tap down.
And the kick to the touch.
And another boundary throw in, so there's not much happening just at the moment. 5 points of difference. The Bulldogs have their noses in front. Got a pretty reasonable history down here at the Bay. And not surprisingly, this side should start favourite the Bulldogs 95 style because they are tough tackling. And they've got plenty of good stock. Wind over the ball. Here now is Green's a chance if he straightens himself up from 15 metres out and bangs it through for, well, his second goal. The goal umpire took a tumble, but he'll still put 2 fingers up. Plenty of fluttering of red, white and blue flags behind the goals indicates that they have eked out an 11-point margin.
Peter Green, who had a stint in Sydney, tried his hand at Carlton too, couldn't make the grade at either place. Comes to Elizabeth, and really has made a name for himself. He started as a defender, now a ruck rover, and now a goal kicker. 2 today.
Liptak and McGowan just having a little go on the left of screen there, trying to get themselves the inside running, the inside positioning. McGowan, obviously with ball in hand, did it the best, gave himself first access to the footy. And we'll have a bounce down on centre wing. Roger Girdham there with the umpire, probably just telling him where he'd like him to throw it up. 200 games of experience. Congratulations to Roger the Dodger today. Reimer's up over the top, takes a good one at centre half back.
Very athletic, he just soared above the pack. He took a chest mark and the finish made it look pretty easy. But the kick was directed at McGowan, but ill-directed, very short. Heel chops it off at the pass. Now he looks for a lead. West goes off. Now Dryden over that player's head. The long one's Tony Hall. He slipped. Wakeland tried to gather it in. Gets a handball away to Windsor. Windsor gives it up now to Healy, who looks ahead and goes long. Lures the target. The big man lumbers up after it. Just gets there on the half volley. Around the corner he goes. And first man Coffey took front position.
Really, really well done by Lewis. He had to change direction, the big bloke. He was in amongst 3 Glenelg players. He took it on one take, and a quick kick on a non-preferred leg wasn't bad.
He did it pretty well, no doubt about that.
I think he's a right-legger.
Yep, sorry, Triggy.
I think he'll call himself a left-legger.
Coffey from 30 out directly in front, goes for goal number 2. The goal umpire leans back, has a good look at it, and says it's a point. So it must have gone right over the post. It's an important time for Glenelg, isn't it? They could just lose touch here, or they could really stay around the mark.
Do you think they can pull it off?
Well, you've got to have a look at the fact that their recent record has not been spectacular at all. And it's time for them, really, to start stringing some wins together with the talent they've got at their disposal.
This is Heel from half back towards half forward. Reimers has slotted in quite nicely at centre half back. The left leg's quite accurate. And they hit Peter Green lace out. He'll be struggling to get in the way there, Chiggy, because Green was only ever running on a straight line. 25 metres.
Glenelg have lost their last 4. Central District have lost 2 of their last 3.
So plenty at stake for both sides. Peter Green's going to have a pop shot from about 50 and a bit metres out. Launches himself at it. I think he's got 3 for the outing. He has. The goal umpire will put up a couple of fingers. Well done, Peter Green. Good kick. 3 to him, and the Bulldogs go a little further ahead.
Well, they're a very good side, Centrals, and a lot of people suggest that they're a lot mentally tougher this year and physically tougher than they've been. When you man them up against sides like perhaps Port Adelaide, they look pretty good in the physical department. I think that's the area that Alan Stewart has worked on them this year, and this one player is a very solid, tough customer.
Back in the centre, McCulley, Stevens. We've got 18 points to difference at the moment, so Central are just starting to exert some influence on this game. Peter Green again, speaking of exerting an influence, out towards Lewis. Cook is there, should try and drag it back. I think he knew exactly where Lewis was. Well done, Simon, once again. Picked it up on the one clean take. The kick was a little inaccurate. War. Nothing purposeful about the Tigers at the moment, is there? Chigwidden. Someone can make something happen here. Well, look at that. Just makes a lot of difference when you can go in, get the football, and then incisively find the target. Well done, Hyman in the centre.
Scripps up today at half-back. He's done a good job. Scott Lee gives him some support. Scripps did very well to force the turnover, but couldn't bring it undone. Dryden one-handed. At the back, it was Chigwidden. No, it was Rubenik. Gave it out to Bartlett, but he got a coat hanger for his trouble, and the free kick will go back to Grant Rubenik.
Must have been in the motion of kicking it because it's going to go back rather than an FAD, a free after delivery.
Yes, well, Coffey just got him in a sleeper hold.
The old sleeper hold from the top turnbuckle. That's always a tough one, isn't it?
Rubenik to the outer side, to the outer half-back flank. The target was McCulley, but it's 2-on-1. Ingerson and Wind go together. Can Ingerson keep it in? Well, he did, but Jimmy Wind kicked it off the ground and put it across the line.
Central District with their version of the Barmy Army, sitting behind the northern end goals. Certainly a hardy lot.
War off for the Tigers, and Ben Moore coming on for his first game for the Tigers. Number 44, watch for him.
Tigers work it out. He's a chance to get a kick straight away. Little number 44, well done Ben Moore, his first touch. Oh, not all that positive. Heel, who is blitzing Stevens at the moment, I might tell you. I mean, Stevens has had a couple of touches, but Heel is having a pretty good time on him. It's on in the centre of the ground, Gurdon. And Heel wanting to have a go. Chigwidden's in there as well, holding the ball at centre half back, and the Tigers will get a free kick. They're still having a go in the centre. But it looks from here as though it's a little peacemaking session, but just imagine some of the things that are going on.
Reimers gives it off to Scotty Lee, who tries to come, back in board. A high ball to half forward. Lewis goes under it, but well marked Angove. He's improved, this fella. This is Rorick. Under pressure, gets a kick away through the midfield. Now who's there? Heel is running up and down on the spot. Scripps is there. Pressure comes from Pyman. Support from Jimmy Wind. Back to McGowan. His good work. Oh, they're terrific, Centrals. Their handball with a wet, heavy ball is quite terrific. Pyman finishes up with it and gives it off to Cook, who's 45 metres out. If you've ever seen terrific skills, you just saw it.
Gurdon did that very well. He was being, he was engaged in a bit of a slanging match, but he still had the sense to go and find the football at the same time.
The Cook's kick high to the point of the square. Hallahan mops up. Quick kick away from defence. Rubenik will need to work hard. Cook comes in to apply pressure, pushes him across the line, and I think that's the area where the Centrals have improved their meanness. Doesn't matter where you are, they still want to have a piece of you.
Boundary throw in, far side, McCulley. Hasn't done a lot of marking work, but his ruck work's been quite effective. I think Central District are going to get a free kick. No, they're not. They're going to give it away. So McGuinness has got it at half back. Brother Tony still out of action for the Adelaide Crows, and hurting them somewhat. Well done by Arnold. Sat himself back, and so too by McCulley, who put the spoil on. Liptak. Watch him go around the body, given every good chance to Angove, it looks like, down there. In fact, you better make that haul. Good-looking kick to West. Equally good work there by Windsor. This is Angove, though, and he leads it off hands pretty well and gets his first for the outing.
Well, you couldn't fault his running, Ango. He came from half back and he just kept going. He had Tony Hall to give it off to him the first time, and that was missed as Hall went for the pass to the chest of West, but he just kept going. And there's something about this fella. He played over 100 reserves games before he really gets a real chance in the seniors. And now that he's there, he seems to be just making a fist of it.
Centre square. A boggy centre square as McCulley gets it away against Stevens. He's hanging in there with Heel, but Heel is one of the Tigers' best at the moment for mine. Cook, speaking of good players, Arnold. Oh, Damien have a good look at it. Just couldn't make up his mind, I don't think, what he was going to do with it. Slid off the side of the boot in front of Ingerson and Rorick, and it's gone out of bounds.
No, he's developing nicely, though. You wouldn't expect to see Damien Arnold's best football probably for another 3 or 4 seasons yet, frankly.
Well, that doesn't augur very well for a side that's aspiring to win the grand final.
Oh, no, he's coming along nicely, though. I'm talking about... he's only a youngster. What is he, early 20s?
So if he's 3 or 4 years off his best football, is Central going to win the grand final this year with, or go all the way with a player who's obviously far from his best?
Oh, I think they could. This Central side, make no mistake, has toughness all around the ground. They'll use him to get them going midfield and to work around the ground. I'm not being detrimental. I'm not saying he's not a good player. I'm saying his best is still in front of him.
Can he beat Mead? Can he beat Primus?
Oh, yes, he can on his day. In fact, there's some good quality ruckmen around the competition emerging this year. Chigwidden picks it up. Handballs high over the top, into space, Liptak. He's worked pretty hard today, Liptak. Left boot, that's about the 4th or 5th kick on the left. So I wonder whether he's fully fit on the right. Hallahan gives it up. Beautifully put to Benny Moore. Benny Moore goes long. First kicking league football, and Benny Moore gets a goal. I'll tell you about this kid. He comes from Ranella. He's worked his way up through the underage, and look at the support that comes for him. And there's some pretty good bloodlines there. This is Kim Hodgman's nephew. And he has kicked a goal with his first kick in league footy. Terrific result, and Tiger players come from everywhere to congratulate him.
It's great to see that as well. Black and gold jumpers from all over the place to wish him well.
Now, Pyman
great
says,
moment for him.
Welcome to league footy, son. You're mine for the rest of the day. Have a look at the bounce. Arnold did beautifully to give it down. Green missed it comprehensively. Ango, who's working hard for the ball, dumps it out to the outer side. Stevens will be first man there and will have the luxury of 5 or 10 metres clearance, but the ball beat him across the line. Now there's a bit of work out there. Hallahan was yelling at Heel to make sure he picks up his man. So there is some real intensity in this Glenelg side now. They trail by 6 points.
McCulley doing battle there with just a little bit of a monk's hat, if you like, the slightly bald spot. Just looked a bit like Super Carey, particularly with the number 5 jumper on. Liptak, as David suggested, is starting to find some good touch. Well done by West.
This is his position, isn't it?
But every time Centrals have broken away, I'll say yes, there's no doubt about that. Every time Central have broken away, Glenelg have bounced back, short pass, and that man who kicked the first couple of goals in Shane Dryden has the ball about 35 metres out.
Well, he's a big target.
Just keep bouncing back, the Tigers. Doing it pretty well. So Dryden, a good chance from 35. Let's say he'll kick from 40. It's a fair hoof. Straight through, number 3 for the day. Tigers get, well, they don't get any closer than this, 55 points apiece.
The point I make about Glenelg, though, is they squared it up. It was Liptak who could have gone deep into a pocket, but squared it up to the rampaging West who came out. And West had the presence of mind just to chip it straight. They weren't playing wide. They're going straight down the centre. And I think you'll find that if Glenelg can play corridor football for the rest of the season, they could still have an impact in the finals, because we know the Bulldogs are going to be there. Can Glenelg recover?
Even Stevens at about the 24-minute mark. We're a minute from time on of this second term. Terrific work by the Bays to bounce back. They looked shot just a few minutes ago. Then they've got goals at the 20, 22 and 24-minute mark of the second term. Healy. Left leg. Nice evasion. Lucky the boxing training was there. Coffey can't control it at half forward, and we'll have a boundary throw in. It's just getting a bit dark. A bit dark and a bit gloomy.
Well, the game's hotting up, I've got to tell you. 9 goals, 1 Glenelg. What remarkable kicking. As we've played 23.5 minutes of the second term, we're almost at half-time and scores are locked away. 55 points apiece.
Yeah, you're spot on. 9-1's a good strike rate. 10 shots to 15. And yet they've got themselves level.
A high ball, who's under it, who wants it? Simons did pretty well, concedes ground, gives it off to Heel, who is clearly winning that wing. Short inboard now. They're playing direct football. Look at this. Straight down the centre, and it's going to work for them. Cleverly done. McGuinness over the top as the handball work to Liptak. He can shoot for goal. Now there it is. Straight down the middle, Glenelg, and they reap the rewards. They're clear by a goal. And Liptak gets his second.
Spoke about their sequence. You better make that goals at the 20, 22, 24 and 25 minute mark. So 4 in 5 minutes has put them in front by 6 points. And that's a terrific piece of work. And Liptak on screen there has had a fair bit to do with it, let me tell you. McGowan has a big job in front of him. He's usually a creator. We might have to shut Liptak down for a while.
Right on time, on 25 minutes gone. McCulley slipped. He couldn't get a leap at the ball. Liptak did very well. He got it out of the centre, but Pyman cuts it off and bangs it back to the half-forward line. Now, Centrals are playing an indirect brand of football right at the moment, certainly in the last 4 or 5 minutes, and suddenly the Glenelg side are going right up the middle.
If you take Liptak and you take heel, centre wing and centre of the ground, as you see some supporters rugged up out there, ready to go down to Football Park tonight, I suspect. Then they've got 2 out of the 3 across the centre that are winners.
Yes, you did right. I would suspect that those supporters, by the way, are rugged up for here. It's getting pretty cold and dark.
They look peculiarly like
Crow supporters.
Crow supporters to me. I mean, I might just be assuming something, but
the Glenelg Crows, you mean?
Well, I mean blue, gold, and red. Maybe I'm out of order.
All right. Loose ball comes to Hallahan. He's been solid too, working hard for the ball. Chigwedden working himself back into this match. McCulley's kick goes forward. Liptak couldn't claim it. Cleverly done Scripps. Forward to Simons. Palmer did well just to apply a body. Here comes Chigwedden. Oh, raped of the ball by Potter. He just pulled it off him, and Potter did that beautifully. Just took the ball out of Chigwedden's hand and went to ground.
Bit of an electrical storm brewing behind us. Ingerson, Liptak, good possessions for him. Pyman barrels it forward. Rubenek at the back, a little shove out, couldn't quite take it. The Dogs would love to bounce back here, but they can't penetrate the centre of the ground at the moment. McCulley running up and down on the spot, I might say, from that observation. And that's going to be an interesting thing, David, as to whether he can run the game out.
Well, he's had, what, 4 weeks out. Played last week in the reserve, so I think his fitness will be okay. I mean, remember, he would have done plenty of the running work, even though he had a broken wrist. So
just isn't the same, though.
Match conditioning is what you need. I take your point. Swirt goes away, but Liptak won a free kick off the ball. Now he's 55 out. Off goes Dryden. The kick goes long and hard. Underneath it, Ingerson claims the mark. That kick was meant for Dryden, I'll tell you, too, and it missed the mark by 20 metres.
I think Liptak's probably emerging as the best player on the ground. You better watch out down there, Michael Wakeland, as the ball gets barreled across the line. A little bit lucky.
And it is the first rush behind that the Central's defence have conceded.
10-2. The Tigers, they've got a 7-point advantage, and Central District suddenly are under pressure.
Wakeland's done a pretty good job on Tony Hall. Scott Lee from fullback will take the kick. Elects to go to the outer side. It's a clearing kick. Reimers underneath it. So too McCulley at the back of the pack. Simon Hill comes inboard to Dryden. He might be playing at centre-half forward now, by the way. I think he is. West has gone to full forward. Dryden to centre-half forward. And nicely placed out there, and Scripps marks. Justin Scripps, who kicked 7 goals in the reserves last week to win his place in this side. Mansell's out, by the way. Dean is still in the reserves. Bow is in the reserves, and Brad Smith in the reserves. So they've got plenty of depth. Strooper also has dropped. And McCulley marks 40 metres out directly in front. And there's quite a spray of rain coming down. We are 4 minutes into time on.
Stuart McCulley. It's a good kick for a big man.
Doesn't kick many goals though, Triggy, does he?
Certainly doesn't. 7 goals in 81 games. He's launched himself at that one. Sure, he quite didn't show a lot of form in that, did he?
I think he looks like a terrific defensive ruckman to me. Plays that kick across half-back so beautifully.
Tell you what, if I was playing out there on a day like this, there's not much chance that I wouldn't have the long sleeve jumper on. A biting wind and the rain coming down. Just about snow in a minute.
Great football weather. This is McGowan. At half-back, looks to play wide. The lead comes from Hugh Reimers. That's where the ball heads. out in that direction. David and Goliath, mind you, out there, and Reimers had a poor start to the season, but his form the last couple of weeks, other than the last quarter last week, has been pretty solid, I'm told. Ingerson against McCulley. Ingerson took front position, thumps it down. Taken away by Simons. Around the corner he goes. Potter there, so too Strips. Now Scotty Lee. Well, 3 or 4 bites of that cherry. Handballs it away. Hyman gathers it in and goes. A high ball to the outer side. Big pack flies from behind Bartlett, thumps it straight to the line. 10 goals to 62 Glenelg, 8-7-55. Glenelg have the lead by 7 points, 30 minutes into the second term. On the throw-in, Heel again to the line. So Glenelg playing it pretty wisely the last moments of this second term. They're just making sure that Glenelg don't run the ball down and get a late goal. They're going to want to go into half-time with a lead. Dead heat, loose ball. Scott Lee taps it back in. Heel got a kick away. Now Jimmy Wind over the top of the ball, and 3 or 4 players there, including Girdham, number 10. Hallahan, 34 for the Tigers. And 21, Nick Chigwidden, we should have known. As the siren sounds, it's half-time at the Bay. Glenelg, 10 goals to 62. Lead Central's 8 goals, 7-55. The margin, 7 points. All the action coming to you on ABC Sport.
What's that buzzing that's going on there?
Just let them know. Thanks.
Here, take that.
Sorry.
Still hearing the buzz?
Yeah.
So what happens here? We're not going to be in a 2-shot, or?
No, I've got 2 cameras, mate. One for me, one for you. Same as 3/4 time.
You want me to turn it off?
How's that? Yep, well done. It's the light doing it, is it?
Yeah.
Any other technical diagnostics you'd like me to...
It's not coming through on camera though, is it? Like, we can hear it, but nobody else can.
Oh no, you don't go there. There's the buzz stop?
Yes. It is, righto.
Why does it always get cold at half time?
Because it knows that it's going to get cold then.
What have I just said?
You got to wear your thermos.
Clunk, clunk, clunk.
Now, Trigger, you know about this?
Yep.
Right, so we, if it's you or me, we just simply say it's 7 points at
Well, just make
half-time.
sure I'll do it. So just
Well, whoever's talking, because they'll just say throw, and we just go boom, because it was originally going to be the dawn.
All right. Okay.
Right, so it doesn't much matter, but it's not a throw. So it's at half-time, Glenelg fighting back, blah, blah, blah.
Looking
lead
forward
by
to a terrific
7 points,
second half.
And wet, cold conditions, absorbing the second half, boom, and then they'll run it. Are we righto? Short, sharp and shiny.
But no,
Thanks. I'm looking at it. Righto.
So are we on a two-shot? John?
You can't throw your hands out, that's all. Now, John, are we doing this as we are sitting together or we are apart? Righto. Righto.
Well, then you better come in a bit closer, my man.
Yeah, I bet. Still 5 minutes.
No, that's clear of everything now, mate, but still hunting.
Is that bright enough, that light there?
That's too hot for you.
I gave Johnny
you couldn't
Albert
soften it, could you?
your regards.
Did you?
Yeah.
If you've got a half spun, it'll be better, Keith. I think How's that? Is that too much? Have you got a half? Yeah, doing it now, mate.
Sounds like me.
Hmm?
Sounds like me.
How relevant now, Terry? Okay, mate.
Okay, so the first thing I come to you with is a couple of important players missing for both sides, yeah?
Yep.
We could almost do this half-time gig with the earpieces and lapel mics.
it looks nice.
Looks what?
two behind you. You want trim out of the HMI?
We'll just come up the stairs 4 or 5 steps, that's all. Yep. Well, actually, I reckon you can leave your camera where it is, and I'll just stand down in front.
Okay, mate.
That's what I'm saying. So just leave it sitting up there and I'll just come down 10 steps. You happy with that? Oh, hang on, John. No, sorry, I meant to tell you. We're going to interview Roger Gurnham for his 200th game, and they've asked can we come down to the rooms and do it 5 or 10 minutes after the match. So we'll need to record today's interview in the tunnel. Can we do that or not? Righto, well I'll get him up here then. I'll just have to get a dressing gown on him. Righto. How long till we're on air? Okay, I'll hang around. What I'll do at the start of the third quarter, I'll just leave Stephen to come. And I'll get organised to go down and get that underway. All right?
It's very bright.
Is that monitoring not behind them? Yeah, but I don't think they're behind that. It'll be alright.
Got no ladder.
Yeah, West Adelaide versus Norwood highlights. Can you come in a bit closer or not?
I've got to be careful.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I'll lean in.
Can you sit up a bit? I'll give you a massage after. Up there.
I'm sitting up.
That's up. Doesn't give me much to look forward to, really, does it?
Oh, boy. Shelley.
Number 2. We'll just tell them to throw to David Mackay and Stephen Trigg. All right.
Okay.
We'll talk about these others through the highlights, Triggy, all right?
Talk about what?
We'll go straight to the highlights. All right? And then we'll talk through the highlights. Hi, Rock.
Neville, good afternoon to you, and similar conditions down here as well. Call me old-fashioned, call me soft, but it's a little bit better up here than out in the sludge, David, at Glenelg Oval.
You should wear a Spencer.
Well, I have got a Spencer on. Funny you should say that, but
You are such a wimp.
a couple of key omissions before the game.
Well, why don't we go to the highlights and we'll talk through it while we're going to the highlights.
Well, tell me about the omissions, firstly.
The omissions, Brian Hereda out with a groin injury, Paul Rouvray out with a leg injury, so both sides had players out before the match even started.
And, of course, it's a game that Glenelg just had to win. They dropped their last two against Norwood and then awfully last week at Wales. There's the scoreline at half-time, 10-2. Glenelg, they trailed by 18 points, David, halfway through the term.
Midway through the second term. They were down and out for it, but they had terrific recoveries through. Dryden kicked a couple, Liptak got a couple, Simons chipped in for one, and there were some terrific signs that Glenelg was starting to play direct football rather than the indirect football that they were playing. And for Central, Schwert with 2 goals could have had 5 in the first term.
Well, we'll probably get a look at Matthew Liptak throughout this term. He was reasonably quiet. This is the first quarter as Cook got it up towards half forward, but what you'll find is Schwert kicked the first 2 for Central, and David Dryden kicked the first 2 for Glenelg, but Liptak, the further the game has gone on, the much better he's become.
Now, Bartlett's playing at centre half back. Look at Hallahan. He got the lucky kick there and chipped it into Dryden. Now, Dryden's the new boy from Wodonga Raiders. Played a few games in the reserves. He kicked 100 goals up there in the local competition last year. A job transfer brought him to Glenelg, and he's played pretty well so far today.
Here is Schwert's second off hands, I think. Or is it what's happened there? That's Schwert's second. So he kicked the first 2 and he's been lively off hands.
Had 3 points in between that. Here's an opportunity for Glenelg to go forward, which they did successfully. Scripps. Now, at this stage, we were critical of them playing indirect football. Even that goal that Simons kicked was a great goal from deep in the pocket, but that's the way they were playing the whole game.
And they've got 2 winners. We saw Heel there. Heel is giving Stevens a bit of a run around on centre wing as Cook kicks one to the northern end.
He's been a solid player today for Centrals around the ground as well.
Would you agree that Heel is a winner on centre wing and so
yes.
too Liptak in the middle?
Clearly, there's no doubt about that. Now, there's a terrific goal by Coffey. He's got a couple. He's got 1, Grant Coffey. He kicked 3 last week. I think Tony Hall there, we just saw Wakeland launch himself over the top of Hall. And there's a young fella with his first kick in league football, Benny Moore, the nephew of Kim Hodgman, who hails from Ranella, came in and playing his first game, kicked the goal with his first kick in league footy.
It's a big thrill for him, and the Glenelg players came from all over the ground to congratulate him. They have a sense of urgency at the moment, the Tigers. There's obviously that need to win. They've been embarrassed the last 2 weeks, but they're up, David, against a very, very tough side in Central District.
They will, so I'm expecting the hard-running football of Glenelg in the second half to combat the hard, physical, aggressive style of Central District in the second half. ABC ads. This is good. Well done. Well done. Well done.
To be where?
Just on standby.
Sorry?
Just on standby, just in case we've got a field.
Good interview. I think Tony Simons would recognise, Neville, that if he loses today 5 in a row mid-season, you're just about finished in terms of a top 3 position. And frankly, it's almost impossible these days with the way the final structure is set up to win a flag from 5th position. Say you did in 1984 with the Redlegs.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I put them in the same category. I think Neville is South Adelaide, 2 underachievers. And you'd have to say also that Glenelg, with their mid-season run, have been underachievers as well. So any side through the bog, I guess, you know, we're in for some of this wet weather, that can string a few games together over the next 4 weeks or 6 weeks perhaps, are going to be well served for the finals.
I actually caught up with him during the week, Neville, and I had a chance to talk to him and Scott Simister about the structure at West Adelaide, and they said to me that they reckon they can win their next 4 or 5 and take a top 3 position. They reckon that if they can take on Port Adelaide or Central, they've got the physical strength to match those sides, and they fancy themselves at this stage of the year being able to win a flag. Now, it's interesting, isn't it? Because 3 weeks ago you would have given them no chance, and the players are openly talking about their ability. Well, I've got to say, in the wet, I would have fancied Central District, the way they play a very tight, hard brand of football. But if Central District are going to let Glenelg run straight down the centre of the field, I think Glenelg can get up and win it.
Well, I think the Central District Neville have too many tough on-ballers. They manufacture plenty of play. Conversely, Glenelg have too many that run along the side. And having said that and tip Central District, you go ahead and tip the Bays. They're a Monty. Start of the second half at Glenelg Oval, 10-2. The Tigers, the home team, playing Central District 8-7, a margin of 7 points. And Glenelg would love to get a run on in this first part of the third term. Liptak gave them every chance to do so in the second. Callahan is being called to play on. Umpire waving his arms around like he's trying to attract some attention. He's got a bounce down just inside that Tiger 50-metre line. Central District kept putting their noses in front throughout that second term, and the Tigers kept clawing their way back. Ingerson. Central District to half forward. Cotton is onto the ground. Number 44 has the gloves on, so we'll pick up in a moment who's gone off. Cook is going to be outnumbered. They want to try and clear the line at the moment. The kick from Girdham is not the ideal one. Off the side of the boot, Green. The Bartlett could have got himself a free kick there. Didn't get it though. Green's in working hard once again. Over the top goes Chigwidden, and right on the point of the square will have a bounce down. Ingerson's still in ruck. Rhyme is still at centre-half back. Dryden's at centre-half forward for the Tigers. And McGowan seemingly is in the middle once again. And Liptak is his man. This is Girdham chasing down Simons. Stevens couldn't control it. Still can't control it. Chigwidden can though. Much more purposeful. Well done to Scripps. Centre of the ground, and he's got McGuinness. McGuinness plays on. Player running through the middle was Kretschmer. Heel. Liptak, can he get another one? Lippy from about 55 metres puts it forward, and they've taken a mark at the point of the square. Well done, the Tigers. Good piece of movement. They threw it around, and finally the ball's ended up with the young fellow in his first game up forward. The man who kicked a goal with his first kick in league football, young Benny Moore. He's listed as 70 kilograms, and at that he'd be ranked as the lightest man on the ground, even lighter than Justin Scripps. So from the head of the square, another kick, another goal. So Ben Moore has 2, one in the second and one in the third. So a good start from the Tigers. Back in the centre square. 11-2 plays 8-7. 13 points the difference now as Stevens trying desperately to get on top of Simon Hill, who had the better of him in the first half. And we'll have a rebound in the sludge at the bay. McCulley and Ingerson, neither all that effective, but Liptak gets on the end of it. It was held too long, didn't get a free kick though. The crowd was looking for one. Wind around the body. Up to Cotton. David Mackay's just been for a wander down. We might get him to tell us who's on the interchange bench at the moment for Central District as McGuinness goes forward. Not quite by West, it slips through the hands, goes down there to Hallahan. Can't control it and it goes across the line.
Thanks, Stephen. I've just been down to check on our after-match interviews. We've had a change. We'll be endeavouring to talk to Stephen Schwert after the match, or Brian Herrera from the Central side.
Schwert's the player off, is he?
Lyndon Bowe is the other player that we'll be talking to. No, Schwert's on.
So he didn't pick up who was off for Cotton? Not yet, anyway?
Not yet. Well, I'll endeavour to do that for you as we go through the term. What have we played? I've left you here for 4.5 minutes, Tricky. I'm sorry. And this is Ingerson flying at the ball. West was there also, over the top of the ball and holding it in the area. As appears to be Scripps. And what's the umpire said? Free kick. It's going the way of Ben Moore. Now what's he got, Tricky? 2 already. 1 in the second and 1 in the third. Now that are his first 2 kicks in league football.
So I believe could be 3 from 3.
Joins a rare breed of footballer that's kicked goals with their first 2 kicks in league football. And he hasn't made it 3 from 3, but 2 from 3 is not a bad result. That was a shocker.
Yes, it wasn't his best kick ever. And that one from Wakeland, just hugging the boundary line and going across now from a spoil. Scott Stevens on screen. At the moment he's had his colours lowered to heel as Chigwidden's pointing some directions on the left of screen. Dryden does battle with Ingerson and Hallahan takes it off hands. He does it pretty well also, up towards the half forward or full forward line, taken off hands by McGowan. Did it pretty well. McGowan, left leg, feigned it pretty well. It will just stop dead. Well, it didn't actually. It did quite the opposite. It skidded, believe it or not, through the sludge in the midfield. Gurdon, and he's going to get up from this, Chiggy, not only from giving the ball away, but very, very messy.
Well, he slid into the ball, Chiggy, dragged it in and held it, and that is the rule, to be fair. This is Healy. A long ball, Coffey couldn't mark it. Schwert just chipped it with the left leg off the ground into space. Simons was first man there. He'll go for the boundary line, just inside the line it bounces. So we played 7 minutes into the third term, and the margin has blown out now to 13 points favouring Glenelg. And I don't think you would really have thought that midway through the second term when Central's led by 18 points.
Certainly not. It was just a matter, I think, of Glenelg lifting their work rate, having a bit tougher go at it. As Cotton dives in over the football far side, can't control it, and it goes across the line.
It is conceivable, given the talent of 2 sides, that we might see these 2 teams in the grand final. I mean, Port Adelaide aren't a certainty. They're a favourite, but not a certainty.
Would you like to have a bet on air at the moment about whether Port will make it or not?
Rowrick high over the top.
Oh, hang on.
Well, anything can happen, let's be honest.
Okay, well, do you want to take it on or not?
Okay, well, it's not illegal. Potter, Healy.
Well, what a cop-out.
A long ball to Coffey. To be fair to these 2 sides, there's still a chance, is the point I'm making.
Well, your point was that Port Adelaide may not make it. I'm simply suggesting to you they will, and I'd like to have some interest on it.
Controversy corner, thanks, Stephen. The point I'm making really is that Glenelg and Central are still in the hunt. Now, I'm not saying both of them will make the grand final, but either of them could. They've got the talent, they've got plenty of talent. But a hurried kick away. Well done, Reimers. He's played pretty solidly today. A long ball, a wide ball. In fact, it dropped short. And heel marks in front of Stevens. So clearly winning that contest. Plays a very similar game to David Marshall, who used to play for Glenelg and the Crows. Angove on the half volley, did it pretty well. Now goes long, centres it up a little. McCulley goes forward. Reimers was there, copped one high, said the umpire, and the free kick goes to Hugh Reimers.
Reimers from half-back right, pushes it up towards half-forward right. Up over the back went Bartlett, couldn't control it. Schwert can, he's been pretty quiet since that first little onslaught from him. Has some time to measure it, push it up towards full forward. Here's a challenge. Hocking works his way back. I'll bet he concedes. He does. Probably under the circumstances, the only option he had.
Well, that's the first point that's been conceded by the Glenelg defence, by the way. All the rest have been kicked by Central players. Rorick. A long ball to the outer side, running into space. Girdham, 200 game man. Now Ingerson, tackled by Hallahan. And Healy couldn't quite get there before the ball went out of play. Now the Glenelg players are pumped up. They're congratulating each other. They're running onto each other. And Centrals will need to fight off that emotion that's building amongst the Tigers.
Central have the ability, of course, to be able to burst into a game. So Glenelg will need to be on their mettle just to keep them out. But at the moment, the Bulldogs don't penetrate that forward line quickly enough to give them an opportunity of one-out situations. Like this, they kick over the man on the mark, and McCulley sits underneath the ball, or Bartlett sits underneath the ball. He's holding on to Lewis this time, and Big Simon's going to get it from the 50-metre mark. He didn't like it, David.
Well, two big fellows go at a contest, and perhaps there's just a light draping of an arm around, but really didn't infringe and impinge Lewis going for the ball. That's the point I'll make.
Simon's looking for an option. There's not one forthcoming. So he goes into the hole. Rorick's in the front spot. Spoiled away. Well done by Cook in the front spot. Squeaks it around the corner. Can't quite get there. Can Grant copy, and it goes across the line. So we've got 11-2 to 9. And the challenge now with the Bulldogs.
The challenge is to just get a couple of quick goals to bring themselves back into contention. Glenelg are kicking with what breeze favours the Bay Oval. Oh, Bartlett dropped the chest mark. Girdham picks it up. Stolen away by Liptak. Ingerson held him, and Liptak will win the free kick. Now, he's been a much maligned player. They said he was horrible last week at Whyalla, but today he's been quite terrific. Wide to Ango, who's working hard from a half-back flank. Now, where are the leads? They're deep into the pocket. That can't be the best way, surely. West at half-forward. Tony Hall leads it, goes short. Hall's got it. Well done, Jim West. Set it up beautifully. I like the way that Jim West came back into the midfield and Hall just took off. And tell me, that's Chris McDermott's old jumper.
John Painter's old number. And from behind, they look very similar. John Painter playing for the Bays before he went to Sturt, way back in, 82?
So Tony Hall with one goal kicked in the second term. He didn't get a sniff until, he didn't get a kick, in fact, until late in the first quarter. Lines them up, leans back, and it's coming around nicely. 2 goals to Tony Hall. In comes Heel. Now Dryden, Scripps, Liptak. Now they know they need him, and they just need his confidence to rise a peg or two, and that one wouldn't have done any damage at all.
Coach Alan Stewart for the Bulldogs would be distressed because Glenelg have kicked the last 6 in a row, 4 from the 20-minute mark off the second term, and now they've got a couple in the third, so it is an alarming sign for the Bulldogs that they can allow a side to do this. They need to match up. Heel needs to be covered. Angove needs to be covered. Liptak needs to be manned up on.
Trademark of the Bulldogs is their character. Let's see what they've got today. They'll need every ounce of it to come back. The kick from McGuinness finds Scotty Lee. He's under pressure. Hurries one wide. Stevens just inside the line, tries to gather it in, but he's claimed and dragged across the line by Benny Moore. Well, there's not much of him, Ben Moore, but he gives a contest. Pyman just tries to unsettle him off the ball. Back now with the throw-in. Ingerson front position from behind McCulley. Ingerson over the top yet again. Heel, a hurried kick away. He's finding plenty of the ball today. Wine back in the Bulldogs lineup after a groin injury, and he can't drag it back far enough. It's out of bounds on the full.
Possibly some of the hottest coffee of all times, just passing the lips back here in the commentary position. I think I've done myself an injury. Middle of the ground. The real action is with Dryden. Away he goes, up towards full forward. Hall at the back would take something pretty good, and that's what it is.
Well, we talked about confidence.
I'll tell you what happened, though. The two Central boys were acutely aware that a man named Tony Hall was somewhere around the place. They took their eyes off the ball in Wakeland and Ingerson. And they lost where the ball was, so Hall, as a consequence, has got it. from around about 45 metres out. Here's a beautiful kick of the football. Not quite this time. Just started it out a little too far to the left and it's gone through for one behind. So Glenelg still pretty accurate. 12-3 on the board. They lead the Bulldogs, who are on 8-8.
The goal or behind really didn't much matter for Tony Hawke. It was the fact that he could just have the confidence to soar and complete that mark. That is a booming kick from full back. McCulley thumps the ball forward. First man there is McGuinness. He couldn't claim the ball. Stolen away by Healy. Now an opportunity for McGowan with the crew cut. Now this is a real crew cut. Stevens, McGowan working it out solidly. Jimmy Wine. Coffey. A handball over the top, but it didn't go over the top. Rorick chopped it off. Chance now for Jared Cotton on the field. But Rorick did a terrific job and forced the ball out of play.
So the game's alive here at Tiger territory. 12-3 to 8-9. 15 shots to 17, but still there is, what, an 18-point advantage. And the Tigers have it at the moment. The Bulldogs need a goal and they need one quick smart. Down to the front, Cook. Here's a chance. Player around the corner was Cotter. He's come onto the ground, so the Bulldogs have got two off. Cotter and Cotton are on. And I still haven't heard from you, DB, about the two that have gone off.
I would suspect you, Damien Arnold is one. You'd be looking at the bigs, really.
Yes, Arnold's off.
So we've got him in one. And I'll try and pick up the other, but I'm sensing it...
what's happened is that Cotter
yes,
has gone on to pick up Angove, so they've replaced a half-back flanker. And I'd suggest you it's Pyman.
I think you did right.
To the front from the Ingerson spoil. Here is Cotton. Awkward kicking style at the best of times. Under pressure, it's tough at the back. They need to play themselves in front. I reckon the old Bulldogs down there can't take it. Ooh, that was a little lucky.
Sorry, Trigger, picked it up where it's actually Potter. So Potter is off. So too is the big ruckman in Damien Arnold. So they're the two players that sit on the Glenelg interchange bench. Wakeland's come out the centre half back. Oh no, correction, Potter's out there. He's on a half back flank. So, and so too's Pyman, by the way.
Try again, boy.
Yeah, I'll pick it up.
McGowan tries to force his way through. Here is Cotton. Needs to be protected. Stephen Schwert went for the ball. Cotton thought he was held without it. We've got another bounce down about 10 metres out from the goal. 45-degree angle. Cotton again, across the face of goals and out of bounds on the full. Glenelg will bring it back into play.
The Hocking kick, a long one. It was wobbly under it. McCulley, Ingerson took the big fly, couldn't complete it. Bartlett around the corner, bends it back and out there, Dryden. Marks and gets trampled on. He's not too happy about it. Play on the call. There's advantage allowed to fly. McGuinness goes wide and Jimmy West deep in the pocket about 48 metres out. Gets a little extra attention from Ray Windsor. But marks it nonetheless. And will probably go back and have a shot for goal. Angove was 20 metres clear at centre half forward. That's ignored. Now to the point of the square. Where are the Rovers? No one there. Ingerson. Two bites at the cherry. And it's paid. Play on the call as he goes wide. McGowan on the left. A long searching ball for Lewis. Well done, Bartlett. That's been a terrific contest between the two big men. Windsor wide to Potter. Wider still is Jimmy Wine. One bite, two bites, gathers it in. Potter went to ground, dumped it towards the line where McCulley picks it up and runs across the line.
Well, they've gone missing, the Bulldogs. Absolutely gone missing.
I tell you what has gone missing is their crunching attack on the player. And I think in the first quarter particularly they intimidated the Glenelg runners by just hitting the living daylights out of them.
I wonder if Stephen Schwert shouldn't have a run on the ball to try and get something going, because all of a sudden the Glenelg runners like Hallahan are starting to hurt them. Liptak is continuing to do some damage. Wakeland is caught. They're under pressure down there. A big number of Tigers. It's like a roar of them down there as Central District get it forward. Schwert's in there, arrived a little late, squeezed from the ground. Now Lewis, I can tell you, isn't moving very smartly at all. Free kick and is going to go to Cotton. Got one in the head. They need to be quick. Cotton. Awkward looking kick towards Wine. He won't control it. It goes across the line and out of bounds. 12-3 plays 8-10. So just under 3 goals the difference.
Finally picked it up, Triggy. Scotty Stevens is the player that's gone off.
You're right, how could we miss him? Beaten comprehensively by...
Well, he's only just gone off.
By Simon Hill.
Well, probably an appropriate...
10 minutes ago, sorry, 10 minutes ago at least, wouldn't it?
Oh, I think they've done a switch because he was on when we were looking, and he's off now. So Craig Cotter goes on to Simon Hill, who's wreaked havoc on his wing for Glenelg, and Stevens suffers the displeasure of the coach. This is Jimmy Wine feeding it back now to Jared Cotton. In turn, Ingerson, now Scotty Lee. Now that was just a fundamental ball handling error. Lee did well to get out of trouble. Now tries to crash through. Did he go too far? How far has he run? The Glenelg crowd just scream at the umpire. Great play, goal of the match to Scotty Lee. Just sheer commitment, courage and endeavour. And from 60 out with a wet ball, he gets it through the middle.
Terrific piece of work, Scotty Lee, and a team lifter. Glenelg will kick the last 6, and that's just the way you want to bounce back. You've got players that are down on form all over the ground, and Scott Lee, dropped from the Crows, would be feeling just a little down on himself. But when you burst through and kick them like that, the rest of the side lifts. Be an interesting reaction coming up.
The margin back to 11 points, favouring the home side. Ingerson high above the pack. Healy gathers it in. He's claimed by Liptak. The umpire said Liptak held him when not in possession. Will you be the judge? Healy now forward. Rorick couldn't complete it. Cook gathers it in, needs support, doesn't get any. Thrown to ground by Rorick. Liptak now to Scripps. Wider still is Simons coming into this match. He's finding plenty of the ball on Ely. So Glenelg winning the wings and the midfield, frankly. And a long ball. Nobody's, and it's across the line. Well, Stewart had to make the changes, didn't he?
Okay. Centre wing, far side. The game's alive. Spoiled down. Plenty of breeze around out there. That windsock just above the picture there at the moment.
Now, you would have thought coming here today that Glenelg winning 4, losing 4 in a row, and Central, with the sort of form that they have in the wet, would have been red-hot favourites.
Oh, of course. But as David Parkin suggested about his side last week, how do you know what goes through the hearts and minds of men? If you can't pick it yourself when you've been coaching for 20 years, and what the heck chance have the rest of us got? Inside half forward, Pyman. It was a good comment from Parkin, I thought, David, just by saying, well, I can't explain them myself sometimes. Wine, not quite caught, well done by Wakeman. Green probably could have done a little better, just let his teammate run through the middle unaided, and Coffey sits underneath it and is going to be paid the mark.
Well, he had to sit, didn't he? And now that's the difference. In the first term, the ball was coming in very quickly for Centrals. Late in the second term, and for most of this third quarter, it's hardly come in quickly at all. But this time, Coffey at the back, as the ball came in long and fast, had the sit on Hocking and completed the mark.
So Grant Coffey for his 50th goal for the year. And in fact, you better make that his 49th. Fires away, misses to the inside, so that's a desperate miss. They need goals.
Yes, well, it would have been an important one, wouldn't it? Would have brought them back within a kick or so.
He needs to kick those as a big-time full forward.
Well, he has been this year. I mean, if there was some criticism of him in recent years, he's been hot and cold. But this year, he's been pretty solid for most of it. And I don't think that Alan Stewart would have been any more pleased with his result so far. This is McCulley. Every player has an off day, remember. But Coffey's been pretty solid throughout this season. McCulley towards half forward. They're playing indirect a little bit again, the Bays. Simons to Scripps. Scripps tries to spear it forward. It was short, though. They need to go long. Better work by McGuinness. A high ball to half forward, but still they're deep in the pocket. They've not centred it up, and Ingerson marks right on the line. Was it paid? No, said the umpire. Ingerson was across the line, and he doesn't like it. They've got to be careful. They can give away a free kick. Oh, they have. Well, I was going to say, they can give away a free kick for that, and that's exactly what the umpire's done. Umpire Mark Bennett was right on the spot.
It's not clever, is it?
Knew the rule, and that is undisciplined by Ingerson. Dryden towards centre forward. Tony Hall has the set ball. Well, comprehensively put. Rivers was just there a little slow. It needed a real commitment from Craig Cotter. I think Cotter went at it half-hearted. And Tony Hall, with those superb hands, just marked and held the ball aloft.
Well, if I was a coach sitting in the box and the free kick was given away on that half-forward line like that, and Tony Hall ends up with it, dead-eye Dick, right in front, I would be beside myself and probably prone to taking out the hook to Anthony Ingerson and saying, not good enough. You can be frustrated in this game, but if it costs you a goal, particularly when you've got just a little momentum up, that is absolutely critical, and Alan Stewart would have every good right to be beside himself.
So Tony Hall with 2 goals in this match, 1 in the second, 1 earlier in the third, gets his third, and that is a look, they come from everywhere. They know this man is a key, and with great hands like that, and you're 100% right, this is an emotional game and you've got to let players run on emotion, but when your emotions run out of control, like Ingerson did, and he gives away a silly free kick like that, it cost your side dearly. They were back in touch, and now they trail by 16 points again. They were back within 10 points moments ago.
Centre square. The other Tigers in Melbourne sound like they're doing okay at the moment. Richmond, from the PA call we just got a moment ago, down forward go the Bulldogs, and Lewis has got it on the 50-metre line. And they're a bit slow here. This is where they're just slowing it down, and they don't need to be. Coffey's under some pressure already. He doesn't need to be 2 and 3 out down there. So the obvious answer is that Lewis has to kick the goal. He doesn't. He puts it to the line, and Coffey's 3 deep again from the air. What a beauty! Great kick from the air. Looked like Jared Cotton.
Well, did right. Cotton was lurking at the back of the pack, and as the ball came off hands, Jared had the presence of mind to know that he didn't have time to pluck it in, so he just kicked it straight out of the air and right through the goals. That's the quick reply that the Bulldogs needed to make if they were to stay in the hunt for this. Now the margin's now back, what, to 10 points, and they are back within touch.
Centre square again. The game hots up. 10 points in it, 81-71. The home side at Brighton Road with the advantage. Well done by McCulley. He has made an enormous difference. So too has Liptak. Well spoiled by Potter. The little 1%ers are all right. Cook squeezes it out. He looks for McGowan, who needs to do a little bit more. I suspect at the moment, whilst he gives it to Gerdem, he's a little aware of what Liptak's doing. Down towards the half-forward line. Spoiled away by Lewis. Can't quite take it on the rebound. Angove, this time it comes out towards Schwirt. Presence of mind around the body. Jimmy Wine can't go.
Look at Lewis. He is livid with umpire Troy Burton. Umpire said that he threw it, and Lewis said, "You are kidding."
I just couldn't work that out there. So obviously you'd spotted it. Centre wing. Well done off hands. Finally ends up with Cook. That's a good piece of work. Now if they can get it in quickly, they're half a chance. Good kick. Well weighted. Half a chance for Coffey. He's still 2 out down there. They've done it well, the Bays. Schwirt off hands. Favoured left leg. Round the body he goes. They've got another one. The Bulldogs are back. 4 points of difference.
And Schwirt gets his third, and I don't think there was one in this match more crucial than that. And it was so emphatic in the way he kicked it. He just bent around the corner, and look at it. Emotions are running high out there. Hocking tries to unsettle a few. Rubinick comes in to settle them down. And that is one of Hocking's fortes. When sides are getting a run on, he can just mesmerise them. He's such a presence. Now, the Crows delisted him, but I wonder now whether they haven't thought that's 2 or 3 years too soon. At the bounce, a high ball, McCulley and Ingerson. McCulley it was who won it. Beautifully down now to Heel, who's ridden into the ground over the top of the ball and trying to get it out. Simons, he's in a headlock. Well, holding the ball to the umpire, and Cook wins the free. Well, is there some emotion now?
I hope they don't keep plucking out odd ones like that. Just let them run.
So Cook to half-forward, Coffey 3 deep, missed it. Schwirt gathers it in, upended by Kretschmer. Hurried kick comes from Hocking into space. Opportunity now for Cotton. Gives it back to, beautifully put. Blues missed it, but at the back it's Green. He has 3, make that 4. They're back in front. They're 2 points up, the Bulldogs, and on a roll. And you just wonder about this match. It's been a game of really 8-8s, hasn't it?
Of what?
Well, it's just seesawed. Central's had the game in control in the first half of the first quarter. Then Glenelg came back, and then they really wrestled control again early in the second quarter. Then Glenelg came back. Glenelg had the lead the first part of this quarter, and Central's have fought back. It's been terrific. Terrific work.
Back in the centre, 13-3. Glenelg, they now have a 2-point deficit, 12-11 Central District. I'll tell you what, Peter Green was a little lucky he kicked that in a way because he'd had space. I thought he was going to take off, but he didn't do it, and he put forward a wobbly old kick. Would have kicked himself if he'd missed it.
at the bounce. An opportunity for McCulley to force Glenelg forward. They need a quick response before three-quarter time. Rhyme is high over the top. Off the boot, Healy. Simons tries to gather it in, successfully taken by Liptak. He's pulled the ground. Look at the effort, the physical effort by all players. And the umpire will come in and bounce.
Centre wing, 2 points to difference. The Bulldogs, well, they've got that Bulldog spirit, never say die. And as a top 2 or 3 side, you'd expect them to be pretty much with it.
Back with play. Potter handballs it out, and he got pushed by Liptak as he disposed of it, said the umpire. Righto. Okay. Well, Neville, this is an unbelievable game. The Central District side have just fought back and they lead now by, 2 points? But they trailed by 16 points only 4 minutes ago, Stephen.
We've seen a great game, Neville, so far. It's been seesawing all the way through. And we've seen some emotion in the game as well. Central District, I thought, looked shot themselves halfway through the term. They had nothing going for them. The Glenelg runners were carving them up. And all of a sudden, Central have bounced back with some terrific goals.
Well, Jared Cotton came on, Stephen Schwerk kicked a goal, and Peter Green got his 4th. Scotty Lee even came down from a half-back flank, and I reckon that was the turning point in this match. Scott Lee, Neville, got through about 4 players and just charged through them from 60 out with a wet ball, kicked a team-inspiring goal, and you might even see it amongst these highlights.
Well, there are a couple coming up. The first one, Liptak did okay. Now, Hall kicked a couple in that term as well. This one was taken by young Ben Moore. It was his 2nd kick and his 2nd goal in league football. And he banged it straight through, and they got another one. At the other end of the ground in just a moment, we're probably likely to see, I would imagine,
Tony Hall.
A couple of terrific goals. This is a great pass by West, but some great goals from Central at the other end. Hall's been okay. Well,
Hall got a couple. He's got 3 for the game, and that was a lead. Moments later, he took a great mark and went back and I think he kicked another goal. So it's been great for his confidence. Look at the players come from everywhere to congratulate him, though. They really are aware. This is the Scott Lee goal, by the way. Neville, if you're watching, just focus on this. He gets through 3 players, Angove, Crash, Rorick, who's very hard, and from 55 metres out with a wet ball, he kicked a goal. Now, they were 16 points down at that stage, and that goal got them back to within 10, and then the emotion ran high, and they lead by 2 points at three-quarter time.
Not a bad scoreline from Glenelg in terms of only kicking the 3 behinds. There's the goals. Dryden has 3, Hall has 3, and for Central District, well, Green kicked a terrific goal. The last one scored in the 3rd term, and he leads the way. Stephen Schwerk got another one, David, through the 3rd term as well.
Oh, it's been terrific football. If you came here today expecting Centrals to run away with it, given that the Glenelg side had lost their last 4 in comprehensive style, mind you, and they seemed downhearted, you're going to be disappointed, because this has been one of the great matches of the year. It probably compares, frankly, with the game when Glenelg played Port Adelaide and the opener of the season on the Friday night.
Well, other than the fact that there was 90-odd points of difference, this one's been a lot closer, but certainly a very good quality game. We should also say that the Crows' impact on this game has been terrific. While Rouvray dropped out before the game, Hall and Liptak have been just sensational, and Scott Lee, we saw in the highlights, was also very, very good. Neville, and the other player, of course, is Anthony Ingerson, who's having a big impact as well. Oh, that's a pretty good term, fights.
I think there's been a bit of both, Neville. There's been a lot of fights. There's been players figures, but when players like Tony Hall, for instance, or young Ben Moore have kicked a goal for Glenelg, players have come from everywhere to congratulate them. You can see and you can just feel it.
More rain than here.
Pick a winner. Pick a winner.
Here, Centrals. Wouldn't have picked that though.
Hey, Simister and Wielden did. They said, Doc said, I'll destroy him. He said, I'll kick 5 or 6 myself.
Spectators, please leave the oval immediately, thank you. All spectators, please leave the oval immediately, thank you.
So the final term underway from the Bay. With Glenelg trailing by 2 points, they led by 7 points at half-time and got away to 16 points clear midway through the third quarter before Centrals rallied and led by 2 points at three-quarter time. What a vital game for Tony Simons and Glenelg. They've lost 4 in a row, a 5th today, and their season would crumble. This is Ango giving it off to Bartlett, who's played centre-half back all day. Forward it goes, first man there, Moore. He's been quite special, the rookie. Chigwidden pushed in the back, wins a free kick. Kleiman and Liptak just having a wrestling match, and there is some emotion in this match.
Wind actually, so there is some emotion. And Central District led at quarter time. They also led at three-quarter time. They've been punctuated at half-time by the Tigers. Maybe it's the Bay's turn. No logic in that necessarily, because the Bulldogs look fairly steady to me. Ingerson hands off to Lee. Great goal from him in that third term. Cotton just backward of centre wing. And a chance to pump them into the full forward line, or the half forward line at least. Bartlett, though, sits back, takes a pretty good mark at the back of Lewis.
I think he's had the better of Lewis, frankly.
Hasn't done much himself, but certainly Lewis not as effective as he might normally be. Liptak in the middle. What's he going to do here? Green did pretty well. Not enough pressure from the Bays that time as it went across the top to Cotton. He's going to be under pressure from the big man in McCulley. He made sort of a wry attempt to put out an elbow. Couldn't do much about stopping Cotton. Up forward it went, out the back. Cook, not quite if they get us. Oh, it's already through that. From the pack situation has got a goal, but it looked like a throw.
Oh, that can kill you. That was a rugby throw. Cook gave it out. It was clearly a rugby throw, and the umpire was right there, if you don't mind. And how could they miss that? I mean, that just kills sides, doesn't it?
Well, it does, but the reality is that Cotter's got his first for the outing inside a minute of this perhaps a couple of minutes into this last term.
Gee, if I was Tony Simons and I was having a look at the replay of this game, I would be just pulling the side off the armchair when that happens. And the umpire's right there. There's no excuse with 3 umpires.
Centre of the ground. It's hard work as a ruckman, isn't it? From that sludge, you've got to lift yourself up and run into a bloke who's about 100 kilograms. Tell me that's a lot of fun. Girdham barrels it forward only as far as Rowerick, who's got the bulk and a little bit of momentum up to go towards half forward. Hallahan at the back, well done by Lee. He's a class act. With the arms being tackled, he still gets it away towards Healy, who's got a little touch of class as well. Also centre half back is in there helping out. Kyman, or at half back. And Healy sent it across the line.
Terrific contest, Simons. He just applied vigorous pressure to Healy, forced the ball across the line. It was well done by both players. The crowd, as small as it is, by the way, surprisingly small, getting right behind their sides. Chigwidden handballs it off. Wakeland handballs inboard. He just gave it up. Now crashing through Angove and McGowan. Opportunity for Cotton, gives it off to McGowan. Over the top to Wakeland. It caught in the mud. He goes on the left foot. It's a high one. Didn't go very far, really did it. And a great mark taken by Cotton, or Cotter, at centre half forward.
Welcome back, Cotter.
It's a long one. Coffey! Well, he's taken the mark. He has 1 goal, 2. And this is a very, very important kick.
Certainly an important kick, but we spoke about him through the 3rd term on the basis that he needs to present himself, take marks, kick goals when Central need him most. Well, here's a classic example.
Now he's taken a glove off to just help control the fall of the ball as he drops it. Notice it's the right hand. It gives you a better feel around a wet ball in particular, and it's paid a dividend this time. And Hocking, look at him go at them. It's a goal. Coffey's not going to be intimidated. He stands his ground and gets his 2nd goal.
They stand pretty tall, don't they, the 2 big boys? Hocking and
192 centimetres, Coffey.
Well, Coffey won't be intimidated.
And Hocking's 192, so they're the same size, 6'3" or 4, is it? 6'4". Big boys.
Centre square. In the sticky glue pot that is the middle of the Bay Oval, as Rowerick's been swung into a ruck, so our suspicions confirm that McCulley's going to be tired towards the end of this game, and that could be critical for them. Bartlett sitting at centre half back might be a better option, I can tell you. Although I guess they're a bit concerned about Lewis getting away. Here's the man with the ball in hand. He shouldn't have too much problem with this. He's not bad on the left. He drags it around the body, but he's dragged it back too far, Simon. Through for 1 behind. 14-12, leads 13-3.
I'll share with you that is Simon Lewis's first shot for goal this afternoon. Stephen, you tell him he's got another point. He's kicked 2 points. Righto, Girdham, claimed high, but there was already a free kick behind.
You'll recall that he had one around the body, and I suggested that it may have been his non-preferred leg.
And Simons inboard. Now this is better. They're playing right down the corridor. This is where it works for them, Glenelg. A hurry kick forward from McGuinness towards centre half forward. Under it, Moore couldn't complete the mark. Oh! What about Rowerick? He just crashed through and just took Scotty Lee out of the contest completely. Wakeland thumps it down. Girdham caught in the mud, dispossessed, and free kick against McGuinness.
Well, he made that happen, Roger the Dodger. Game 200. And I wouldn't say he staged it, but he just made it very clear that at the bottom there he was under siege. Took a little more of a dive than he probably needed to. And the umpire, well, the reality is, they're human. They tend to take notice of the experienced boys, and he got a free kick.
Rowerick with the mark at centre half back. Things hotting up here.
I think they're human anyway.
The margin's 15 points in favour of Centrals. Let's see what character the Glenelg side have got. Kretschmer back to Rowerick is good work. Now Rowerick applies a shepherd. It just opens it up nicely. Dryden handballs it back inboard. Oh, pressure coming. They're coming from everywhere. McGuinness got through, gave it away. Nicely put to Chigwidden, a long ball to Hall. And Tony Hall up from behind Reimers. Simons missed it over the top, an opportunity for Scripps. He can't get it, neither can Chigwidden. Off the ground it goes. McGuinness another opportunity, concedes ground. Hallahan, what a flurry of players. And out there at half forward, the mark taken by young Benny Moore. 50 out, he won't make the distance. It's a very wet, heavy ball. The lead is on from Tony Hall. It goes long to the point of the square. Big fly, Ingerson, offhand, smothered. Well done, Ingerson. He did it terrifically well, and Ray Windsor, a late inclusion in this match, comes streaming out with the ball, but gives it up to Dryden. Now, midfield, there's 4 Glenelg players. That's where he goes. Rorick. Centre half forward. Hallahan inboard. Ignored. Off goes West. Now Tony Hall. Now, who's dropping back to the square? Tony Hall's there. And at the back, it's a mark, and it's been taken by Scripps. So Justin Scripps, who kicked 7 goals in the reserves last week to earn his place in this side, and hasn't got one at all today, an opportunity for his first.
Not 100% sure about who's picking him up right at this point in time, but the player who had his hands on his head was Healy. A look of anguish, so maybe it was his man.
The kick, he leans back, he look at it's hit the post. Well, what disappointment for Glenelg supporters. A goal there would have brought them back within 9 points.
So in the fading light at Glenelg Oval, adjacent Brighton Road, we've got Reimers bringing it back into play. To the point of the square at half-back, working back and doing it pretty well was Lewis. Indeed, Ingerson it was, up towards half-forward now for the Tigers, and Jim West has got it. Not his best day out for Big Jim, but he's got an opportunity. About 45 metres out to thump this one forward. Drags it off the instep and through for one behind, so that's their 5th behind. Not many for the day. 14-12 plays 13-5.
Jim West started at centre half forward. He played centre half back in the debacle last week against the Eagles in Whyalla. Started at centre half forward, which I think is his true position, and they've moved him to full forward. And Dryden, oh, well done. This is Scripps again. He hit the post moments ago. Now look at the players. Dryden at centre half forward has his hand up calling for a taxi. McGuinness is clear. Simons is 20 yards clear at centre half forward with nobody picking him up, but Scripps fancies himself. He'd better kick it, Stephen.
Not sure any of the options were clear enough though for him to take a punt with them. I reckon he's half a chance from there.
Ingerson dumps it across the line. They've got it close. But they really need goals from here, Glenelg, but at least the ball's in their forward zone, and they are doing most of the attacking.
So Cotter and Coffey, the only goals for Central. In fact, the only goals through this last term. Another chance. That's the man who kicked the first of them, Craig Cotter. Up towards half forward he goes. Rubenik offhand. Barton. Kretschmer, who's been fairly inconspicuous throughout the afternoon, off hands. The big fellow out there is number 22, Jason Spivey. Kretschmer. Hallahan, series of handballs. Spivey, Rubenik, Rowerick, McGuinness, and the support there from Kretschmer as well, you saw on centre screen. Away he goes towards half forward. Starting to run out of some opportunities. We played 11 minutes of this last term. Chigwitten can't make anything happen there because the Central District tackling is pretty good.
It was Potter, wasn't it? Chigwitten, all he had to do was just get through Potter, and there were 3 or 4 Glenelg players running clear at centre half forward. They were well and truly clear.
You make it sound like it's an easy task. All he had to do was get through Potter.
Oh,
good luck.
No, it's like a brick wall. But I'm saying it was only the only difference between Glenelg scoring a goal there and not scoring a goal was Potter.
Wind from half back. He winds up all right, and he goes towards half forward. Front position was Stephen Schwirt. Now he's lost locomotion and he's in some strife. Well picked up by Simons. Drives it forward. Wobbly old torpedo punt. Lee backed himself. Gurdon couldn't control it. They're throwing themselves in from everywhere now. We'll have another bounce down.
This is terrific commitment. These tyres have been running through the mud and the slush, and at centre field there's 2 players down, one for Glenelg. It appears to be Angove, and that's bad news. Looks like the groin's gone, and he is in a lot of pain. He'll come straight off. Looks like he might have torn a groin muscle. Let's hope that he hasn't, for his sake.
Either that or the crown jewels are in some strife. Simon Lewis isn't well.
No, they're calling for a stretcher.
Well, that could be fairly critical for Central District. I mean, it's just hard to know where their attention is at the moment. Obviously, it's on a leg. But Lewis, so influential. He's missed games this year because of suspension and injury. And he doesn't look at all impressed. You can just tell on the face of Simon Lewis that he knows there's something desperately wrong.
He had that shoulder injury earlier in the year, which he missed, 3 or 4, 5 games. And now coming back to something like his best form.
It's hard to work out from that sort of pose what's happened to him.
Well, I reckon that Angove crashed through and they collided. Now, you just can't stop when you're going through the mud at that speed, and you can't change direction. So it appears that the two of them have collided and they've both come off injured. And I just wonder whether or not Simon Engo didn't just cop one in the midriff.
Well, I know this might sound a bit perverse, but Central District would be quite pleased if it's a knock to the head. Now, nobody likes to see that, nobody wants that, but from Central District point of view,
concussion's 1 week and a serious injury is
precisely. He's bleeding from the mouth. Now, there's half a chance that he is concussed there.
Well, it is bad news for the Bulldogs, and nobody likes to see a big centre-half forward. Nobody likes to see a player carried off on a stretcher. He's worked pretty hard today, hasn't had the result he would have liked, and Bartlett's done a terrific job on him. But the game restarts. We're 20 minutes in, so we'll expect quite a bit of time on in this match, and there is time. The margin 12 points in favour of the Bulldogs. As it goes forward, Windsor, a late inclusion in the game because of the omission of Hereda with a groin injury. Drives it forward. Ingerson gives it off now to the running player in Craig Cotter. He goes forward. Coffey couldn't mark. At the back, Spivey just onto the field. Handballs it out to Hallahan, who's been pretty solid back there. Around the corner he goes. McCulley now on the field again. He had a rest for a few minutes. Cotter quickly off to Cook. Cook's been pretty solid as a rover. He drills it in forward. Nicely placed, and the mark taken out there by Jared Cotton.
It's a good point. I think that Cook has been one of the best for Central District, probably in their top 3, which is great to see because he's been overshadowed, I guess, by Wine, Potter, Girdham and Schwert.
Well, you'd expect the little fellows to do well. The Jared Cotton kick offline, through for one behind. Margin out to 13 points, so it gives them 2 and a bit goals clear. It's a handy lead, but a goal there would have been terrific, particularly in view of the fact we're just starting to get specks of rain here again at Brighton Road.
So Hocking from fullback, an awkward kick because the breeze has sprung up. It's fallen straight into the arms of Jimmy Wind at centre-half forward. Critical error. Wind's going to have a look from about 45 metres out.
I'd be right in saying, Stephen, that the breeze is blown up in favour of Centrals, or do you think it's blowing across the ground?
Well, I think it's still directly across the ground, quite frankly. It is a fluky windsock on the far side. You get mesmerised by it. It's sort of going from straight across the ground to straight down the ground. Wind has got plenty of distance with that kick. It goes right to the line. The Glenelg defence is spot on though, and they see it to the line.
15 minutes gone into the final term with Centrals leading by 13 points. There's the windsock. You can see that now that's directly opposite and it's blowing away, so the breeze blowing across the oval, but when it flukes it just favours Centrals to the outer side, and you'll see there that the breeze has just gathered that ball and bang, it's out of bounds on the full.
So Cotter to bring it back in. 13 points the difference. The second place side is Central District, and they have their noses in front. 6th place Glenelg are under siege. They've dropped their last 2 very, very badly, and having dropped the 2 before that to make it 4 in a row, they've been in all sorts of strife. That kicks off line, through for one behind, so the margin is out now to 14 points.
Yes, they're just building, aren't they? Even points are important at this stage of the match, and you've got to ask yourself, how do Glenelg go forward? They were playing the corridor pretty well late in the second term, and particularly early in the third quarter. They seem to have started to go indirect again. They've just lost their way. They need it to go straight down the field. The kick from Rubenig to the outer side. The big fly. McCulley thumped it forward. That's what they need. Opportunity now for Hill to run onto it. He gives it off to Hallahan. Liptak runs in support. Opportunity for Dryden. Liptak gathers it in, centres it up. This is what they need. A mark required more underneath it, but he can't get back. And Jimmy Wine marks deep in defence. He's at half-back right. He's worked pretty hard. I thought he was overshadowed in the first quarter or so, but he really has worked hard back into this match. McGowan out of wing, just distributes it wide. Oh, crashing through and doing it pretty well. Rubenig. The kick was intended for Girdham, the 200th game for him. We'll try and speak with him after the match, or even perhaps Brian Hereda. Talk about Centrals and this seesawing match.
Is Hereda out injured, and he's one to come back into the side. For Glenelg, they've got Rouvray, but also in the reserves they have Mansell, who played especially well today in the Rezzies.
Lyndon Bowe,
Brett Dean, David Strooper, and young Justin Brooks from Sturt, so they've got a bit of quality and a bit of depth. The rain, I can tell you now, is absolutely bucketing down at the bay. And it's not particularly warm either, I might add, as Wine gets it and dribbles it to the line. So,
Experienced kick, that one.
well, this rain is not going to help the Tigers.
No, you'd have to favour the Bulldogs, but there's still plenty of time. I suspect that there's a good 15 minutes left in this match, and the margin's out to 14 points. So Glenelg have time if they're good enough. They just need to force the ball forward. But this Bulldog defence is the meanest in the competition. There's a high tackle, no doubt about that. The umpire saw it. Wine just copped Chigwin and high. Apart from 2 or 3 umpiring decisions today, I reckon the 3 umpires have done a fair job. A long ball forward. Back there, good Mark Potter. He is solid and reliable. I was about to say this is the meanest defence in the competition. The Central's defence. They've conceded less points than any other. And it is blanketing down. Loose ball. Liptak gives it off to Kretschmer in turn. Spivey. Well, off one boot, he didn't know what to do with it. Finally got it onto the leg. Dryden marks midfield in the mud. Called to play on, does so. A long high ball to half forward. Who's there? Oh, Simons. The mark said it was going to be one of the most courageous marks. He was running with the ball, and Scott Lee just steaming down on him.
ABC Sport bringing you round 13 from the bay at the moment. Central District and Glenelg, and that is some of the heaviest rain I've seen for a while. I mean, your picture picks it up okay, but if you're watching this at home in the comfort of your lounge, or indeed a pub somewhere, relax and stay warm, because it's pretty cool at the bay. Simons. It is absolutely bucketing down, and you just can't control a ball like that very easily.
No, very difficult. It's slipping around now. That centre section with the mud will get thicker and boggier. Players will need to try and kick over that line. Now, Glenelg need to score 3 goals, and Central successfully. Look at the number of players around the ball. Their experience is showing they're getting players to the fall of the ball, bottling it up and making sure Glenelg can't get a run on. A hurried kick away from Heel, one of the best for Glenelg. Healy over the top of it. He's claimed by McGuinness, and 200-game man Roger Gurdon, the skipper, over the top, just bottles it up yet again. They're just going to shut it down now, Central. It won't be pretty football from here to the finish. And this will be the nature of the way Alan Stewart will play the game. They'll just shut it down, they'll enjoy the 14-point lead, and they'll stop Glenelg from scoring.
It's going to be a lot of that. Bounce down and then drop it down at the feet. It's going to be just so much of it because it is slippery, tough to control. McCulley's gone back into the ruck, spoiled forward by Healy. Well done by Schwert. Couldn't quite get the kick away in the end. Dryden got it away towards Chigwin. Scott Lee's come into his own in the second half. Just a little toe poke forward. Now the third such poke at it, and he goes to the line on the close side of the ground.
Well, you look at Scotty Lee in the wet and the wind and the rain at Brighton Road, and you wonder whether or not his type of player wouldn't be very handy tonight at Football Park as the Crows take on Footscray.
Well, I didn't think it could rain much heavier, but it is. As he would be handy, there's no doubt about that. You get the feeling that he's just a little on the outer at Adelaide at the moment.
Xavier Minicom's not going to be too happy with you, Triggy. You're doing his weather report for him prematurely.
Well, I hope Xavier gets it right tonight, because I'm heading to the country tomorrow. I want to know, Xavier, spot on just what's going on tonight. Have a look at that for rain. That's a great take under the circumstances to number 22, Jason Spivey. Didn't come on to the field until 5 or 6 minutes into the final term. But he's happy to come on in the rain. Yes. Tough one to take for Ingerson.
It was. McGowan gathers the loose ball, goes forward. Healy tries to crash through. Good commitment, McGuinness. Hurried kick forward into space. Ingerson's back there again. Thumps it to the ground. Who wants it? It's desperate days. Fireman taking high play on the call. Ingerson off the ground. Tony Hall's there. Support comes from the Simons. Well, look at them. They're just skating around out there in the wet. Well, what do you reckon?
Certainly a bit hard to pick that one, but Potter's got it inside half back. He drives it towards the far side. I can see a pot of gold out there. A big rainbow just descending on the far side of Brighton Road. Cotter. Let's go and get it, DB. Half forward. Tough one to control. Coffey. Not paid, and it goes across the line. But this closing down attitude that Central have got is just spot on for the occasion. There's the rainbow in the top right of screen.
And I think that's shining right on Alan Stewart. But I think given their last quarter fade out last week against North Adelaide, he really has struck gold with the way his players have come back today. They look gone for all money midway through the third quarter, and they're going to, I think, run out handy victors. They're 14 points clear. We're 22 and a half minutes into the final term.
Well, at that time that you're saying Glenelg
they kicked 6 straight,
top,
Glenelg, hadn't they?
They kicked 6 straight. The Central District were under siege. as Stephen Schwert is just there at the moment. The catalyst in the first term, he kicked the first 2 goals for the Bulldogs, while Dryden kicked the first couple for Glenelg. And since then we've had Green with 4, Stephen Schwert with 3, Coffey with a couple, and for the Tigers, Hall's the best of them with 3 goals.
Off the ground, opportunity for Scripps. He goes forward, but look at this Bulldog defence. They just mop up at every opportunity. Ingerson rucking and playing a kick behind play. Scotty Lee back there just nailing everyone who wants to run through his area. Chick Whitten is looking for support. There was none there.
Well, I never thought I'd hear it. The central chant down at Glenelg Oval. Centrals, the Barmy Army, their version of the Barmy Army, the Bulldogs. There they are in full song and loving 1995, I'll bet.
Well, this means, by the way, Stephen, that Glenelg will have lost 5 straight. It's a nightmare for Tony Simons, and I'm sure there'll be some of these players put under the microscope when they look back at the tape and just work out who they can go forward with, particularly when you see players like Mansell and Lyndon Bowe, particularly. He is a quality player, an AFL quality player, if you don't mind, sitting in the reserves.
Well, Simo, Tony Simons, Glenelg coach, would be feeling the pinch with that 5 losses in a row, and particularly with the reality of league football the way it is. And Kim Hodgman got them into a grand final and was sliced. Mark Williams got them into successive elimination finals and was dumped. So the pressure's on Simo after that belting first up win against Port Adelaide at Football Park. He'd be feeling the pinch.
Well, he's got to get them back on the winning list, doesn't he? Let's be blunt about it. Hallahan, a hurried kick forward into space. They need a goal. Ingerson playing that kick behind play has just been in everything. He's got a hand to every ball in every contest that's come his way in this final term. That's out of bounds on the full. The first real mistake the Potter's made today. 50 games to Potter too, by the way, Triggy. Been a pretty handy recruit since coming down from the Brisbane Bears.
Pretty handy. He's been absolutely fantastic for them.
Rock solid. Lewis. Rock solid. He had a stint with the Sydney Swans, and he is a tough competitor, much in the vein of Scott Lee.
Indeed, their selective recruiting, the Bulldogs, over the last couple of years, great credit to Alan Stewart's been very, very good. One of them is Wine. Another of them is Simon Lewis, who's sadly off the ground at the moment, exited on a stretcher, so we hope that he's okay.
If you've just joined us, Ango crashed through the mud in the midfield and collided with Lewis. Both players left the field. Ango with a hit in the middle, right in the groin, and Lewis on a stretcher with blood streaming from his mouth, and he appeared to be concussed to us, so not good news for the Bulldogs or the Bays, and it's always dangerous in this sort of weather. From half back, McCulley dumps the ball to the line, and that's not what Glenelg need. They need to bring the ball back into play and keep it live. We've hit time on. There'd only be, 5 or 6 minutes left in this match. We can expect a couple of minutes extra time on because Lewis went off on the stretcher and we had to halt the clock.
15 points in it. Glenelg next week have the bye, and well, there's no worse way to go into the bye with 5 losses. Central District have the big one at home against Port Adelaide on Sunday. ABC Sport will be covering that one exclusively and in full throughout the afternoon, so we hope you can join us for that one. The top 2 sides going into grand battle at the Ponderosa out at Elizabeth. Well done by McCulley, got it down. Cotter. Wine is there, and they're doing everything right, the Bulldogs. They're finding the line, closing it down, and just playing for time. Boundary throwing, far side, 14-14 to 13-6, so 28 shots to 19 for the Bulldogs. I think it's probably an indication of their edge that they've had over the Tigers this afternoon. Quick kick forward. A little indiscriminate. Ray Windsor was ambitious to be able to try and take that one out of the air. A wet ball as it was, one-handed. They've closed it down again on centre wing.
Now we should point out too that if you've just joined us for the replay, this is not the sort of style of game that it's been for most of the match. Central have decided just to shut it down. It's become very unproductive and not pretty football in the last 5 minutes. Windsor and West go at it. But for most of this match, it's been hard-fought, hard-running football. In fact, it's been one of the better games you'll see until perhaps the last 10 minutes or so, where Centrals have just bottled it up and made sure that Glenelg can't get away. This is Rubinick from the back pocket, but I feel 2.5 minutes into time on. The time has run out for the Glenelg side. Centrals will win. They'll get back on the winning list. They've only lost, 3 games this year. They drew 1. Cotter, handy replacement midway through the 3rd quarter. Went on to a wing, and I think he nullified Simon Heel, who'd done so wonderfully well. And back there, Bartlett, who's done a pretty solid job at centre half back before Glenelg sees the ball across the line.
Not really enough influence from him though, nor from Jim West. McCulley in his return has been quite influential in terms of tap ruck work. His around the ground marking and so forth, albeit on a wet day, has been almost non-existent. So I need a bit more from those key position boys. Free kick to the Tigers inside half back.
Well, Glenelg have still got players like Redshaw to come back, and Lyndon Bowe must be finding form in the reserves and fitness, frankly.
Well, I think that Mansell's a must for them. Darren Mansell needs to be in the side. Rubinick. Big Arnold's back onto the ground. He's had a stint off the ground since half-time. Well done by Girdham. And our congratulations to Roger the Dodger on his 200th today, down inside half-forward. Green has been ever so influential throughout the day with 4. Can't control it. And it goes across the line. What have we got? 14 points to difference, 98-84. The Bulldogs will go on to win their 8th for the season. 8-3-1. Their one draw, of course, coming against West Adelaide.
3 minutes into time on of the final term as Arnold dumps it to ground. Loose ball falls to Liptak. He couldn't get a kick away. Arnold can. He goes to the square. Back there is Coffey. Offhands Rorick. Thumps it towards the line. So too Spivey. They just push the ball forward and Healy carries it across the line and slid right into the boundary fence. Simons, I think, has had the better of that duel. You think they've broken even?
Simons went there after half-time because Healy was doing pretty well in that first half. And Healy, for a young bloke who's only played 30-odd league games, was a good performance from him. Yes, I'll agree, he's been quietened down. This is Rorick inside the full-back line, hands it off to the man with the number 1 cut this afternoon, Jared Hocking. He's been pretty tough as well to match the image and held Coffey to just a couple of goals to take Grant's tally, David, along to 49 for the year. So he's on target for 100, you'd suggest, as we're just over the halfway mark of the season.
Well, he has the ability, doesn't he? The athletic ability. The wet hasn't really complemented his style of play today. He relies on a good run at the ball and a leap, and the siren sound, and the pain is over. Or perhaps it's just starting for Tony Simons, Glenelg coach. Roger Girdham in his 200th game, congratulated by his teammates. A real mark of respect. A revered figure at Central District. Girdham in his 200th game leads the Bulldogs to a victory. 14-14-98, Glenelg 13-6-84, and Glenelg have now lost 5 straight. Just setting up my interview.
About halfway.
Yeah, halfway.
Yeah, all right. We'll put the camera just slightly higher so it's shooting back into that, which is a bit better than shooting into this.
All right.
All right, mate. Yeah?
7 out of 14.
Fellas, we're going to try and get the table out of the way, so...
Oh.
Put the camera higher than what they are so you're shooting.
No, they've taken my direction. Beautiful.
If you want to see what we can do here.
I'm done. I just said to him, I'm going to use the last 12 minutes, Riggy.
Yeah, I heard. I was going to say the same thing.
And I just said to him, don't use the last 12 minutes to try something.
Jimmy, yeah? Yep. Have I got everything here? Was that all down there?
Yeah, they'll be handed down to you over there. Yep.
For a call up.
Yeah, I think it's too far away. Leave you, mate.
Okay.
You want to lift that monitor up?
Oh, you really enjoyed it. I know you want to do it. Yeah,
We didn't worry for you about it.
You do it.
right now. Well, I don't like that girl.
Not what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, huh?
Here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can throw him on that
Through.
with the earpiece.
Okay.
Now, you might find your levels a bit loud. Yep. You might find them a bit loud. So
Yeah, I
you
can turn the blood pressure now.
Get it up.
Yeah, man.
Go.
Tidy it up. Now, you want to.
Where was David trying to catch up with his interviews?
Say it again. In the midriff.
Oh, thanks.
4 minutes. Okay, it's all yours.
David's getting set up now.
Say it again. Talk for a sec. Peter Green got 4.
Alright, we've got a 5 off down a bit. We've got static in there. What do you enjoy?
Yeah, all right. I'll just talk into the microphone now. How are you going there? Is that about what David would say?
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Speak up again. Yes.
Straight up to C and
2.5. Can we just turn my volume up again?
5 straight. The bye this week. Then you've got West at Footy Park. They've won today, beat Norwood. So you're 6 straight in the face. You're play 2 wide today.
When we're about to go, Brian, if you could just get shoulder to shoulder with Lyndon. Lyndon Bowe, Brian Harada. Now you're out with a groin injury? Yeah. Okay. Terrific comeback. You know, you were down 80 points in the 3rd quarter. Team effort. Simon Lewis went off and you still had the character to shut it down. You've lost Norwood and North for the last 3 weeks. Big news. On the winner's track today, you claimed top position. Testimony to Roger Gurdon, 200 games. It was terrific, his work rate midfield, and you know the club obviously had some respect for him in the way they approached today's game. What was said? What did Alan Stewart say after the match? you know, and that's all we've got time for probably. And the big match, Port at Central's next week. Which is a biggie, isn't it? How'd you go against them earlier in the year?
Against
Central Port earlier in the year. You beat them?
no, we got lost.
No, you
by
beat you.
14, 15.
Oh, that's right, yeah. All right, we'll cover that. What's your girlfriend's name?
Kim.
Afterwards then, Kim.
We mentioned how cold it is down here.
Hey?
We mentioned how cold it is.
Yeah, it is. It's freezing, isn't it? So you're normally playing.
Yeah,
So you're nice and warm.
true.
What are they, a minute to us? If we get time, we'll cover Tony Hall. We've got to keep your answers pretty short.
Yeah.
Don't go into long answers.
No, okay.
Just no point. We haven't got time. We've got a minute 30 to do the two of you an interview. It's impossible.
Well, we can tell you that as Lewis got a little closer, there was some blood around the head, so it could be that he's concussed. Glenelg, well, that's 5 in a row they've lost, and they were goalless in the last term, so a disappointing performance from them. But conversely from Central, a 14-point victory. They're well set up now for their clash with Port Adelaide next week. For Glenelg, Dryden kicked 3, so too did Hall. And a man for Central District who did most of the damage was Green. Stephen Schwert kicked the first couple, then he got his third throughout the third term. And David Mackay, it's all yours.
Thanks, Triggy. With me, Lyndon Bowe from Glenelg and Brian Harada from Central District. Lyndon, first to you. 5 games in a row that you've lost now. The club is really at a low point.
Definitely is. I think there's plenty of answers to be questions to be answered out there, and we've just got to find those answers and turn it around in 2 weeks.
We go to the bye, and then you've got West Adelaide, who have pillaged and plundered today Norwood, and you face them at Football Park in 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, I mean, our season's on the line at the moment. I mean, we have just got to come back.
You've got to find some players in the reserves. There were some pretty handy ones sitting in the reserves today for you.
That's right, yeah, there's a number of players in the reserves, Strooper, Dean, Mansell, Smith, that have had reasonable games today, so they might be up for selection.
Tough time for Tony Symes. Brian, conversely, you were out today with a groin injury before the match?
Yep, just pulled up a bit sore after Thursday's training and didn't really pull up that well for the game.
Today's win was character-laden. You came from 18 points down in the third quarter to win by 14. It was a terrific result. It put you on top of the ladder, and Alan Stewart must have commented on that after the match.
Yeah, well, he certainly did. He also commented on the character of the club and the players to stick together when they were 18 points down or 8 points down. It was a really good win today.
Can you tell us about Simon Lewis? Was he concussed or is he okay?
I think he's okay. I think it wasn't concussion. It was just a slight maybe groin or hammy injury, it looked like.
Well, I suppose for you the big test now is Port Adelaide and Elizabeth next week. Now, earlier in the year they absolutely killed you in the early match, and I suppose you've got to get back some confidence and take them on.
Well, it's probably a measuring stick, Port Adelaide, and this week will be a good game. I mean, last time we played we were hammered by 14, 15 goals in the second half. So it'll be a big measuring stick for us to see how well we're going this year.
Well, it seems to me that you've got a different style of play this year. You seem to be much harder at the player and much harder at the ball. There seems to be a physical presence about Central that wasn't there last year.
Well, that's what we're based this year around, being pressure at the player, pressure at the person with the ball, and pressure just on the ball when it's on the ground, and then general play.
Well, we'll be up covering the Port Central match next Sunday. Will you be fit to play?
Oh, certainly, should be, sure.
Good luck.
Thank you.
David Mackay, many thanks to you, and so too to Lyndon and Brian Harada. And Neville, a grinding 14-point victory for the Bulldogs down here. And as David Mackay was mentioning, we are at Elizabeth next Sunday. We're covering the game between Central and Port live and in full. And it's just a little confidence booster for the Dogs taking on Port Adelaide. They must beat them before the finals, in my mind, to give them that edge of confidence leading into the finals. How could you pick that? And probably Neville from halfback as well. I have a very real concern about Adelaide's ability to kick some goals. Where are they going to come from? And I guess that some of the critics will say that Modra Neville hasn't been kicking many, but I don't really bank on Rashudo, and it's hard to know where they're going to get them from. And equal to that, I reckon the Scraggers have got some pretty good players. One's Michael Aish that we saw in those highlights, like Liberatore, Grant, Osborne. They have some good quality. I reckon Footscray can win this game.
I actually reckon they've done the right thing, frankly. I think he's a lot like Gavin and Wanganeen. There was even an article in the paper this morning that suggested that the way he plays, he's a rangy running player, and I think the wet conditions will actually suit him pretty well tonight. And I'd say to Stephen Trigg and Neville Roberts about the goal problem for the Crows, I don't think it's going to be a night tonight where there's going to be a lot of goals scored anyway, so I think it's going to be a battle of the defences, and I think perhaps tonight you might see 6 goals or 7 goals will win the game.
And do you think that Footscray will be without it, having a losing streak of 4 or 5 themselves? They will be absolutely desperate. They've got a pretty good record, Michael, against the Adelaide Crows, and they will have the grit and determination. The Liberatore types, there's quite a few of them in that Scraggers outfit, and don't underestimate them, whether it's at Adelaide or at Western Oval. They're a pretty good side.
We're okay. We'll just go with it. Because they've probably got so many on-ballers that are of good quality, be they the Jarmans, Bradley, etc., Platten. I think were he a key position player, there's no doubt, Neville, that Macca would be in there. What I'd be interested in, Neville, is that little wry grin that Johnny Halbert had there about the full forward structure. I wonder what he's thinking about. Well, he might be doing that, Michael Aish. I guess one of the points about the centre-half forward, full forward